Kapelle Spielberg, jenem Ort, in dem die Rennstrecke liegt, in der Gemeinde Spielberg, der Kaufbrief und Spielberg, der große Preis von Österreich und die Markt und die Kapelle hat natürlich den Vortritt gehabt. Und jetzt schauen wir auf die Fahnenschwinger aus Eppenstein. Die Eppensteiner Fahnenschwinger sind die nächsten und wir warten im Prinzip dann auch noch ganz oben in der Kurve. Da steht sie bereits, die Werkskapelle Zetweg. Die Werkskapelle Zetweg wird uns als nächste Gruppe dann musikalisch unterhalten. Vorher aber die Eppensteiner Fahnenschwinger, die jetzt hier zur Haupttribüne zu Start und Ziel hierher kommen. Die Eppensteiner Fahnenschwinger, die wir schon von einmal hier gesehen haben und die, das kann man ruhig sagen, die wir Fahnen wirklich ganz ausgezeichnet beherrschen. Hinausmarschiert in der Zwischenzeit die Marktmusikkapelle aus Spielberg, wieder an den Tribünen vorbei, hinaus in Richtung Zielkurve, wo wir Marsch begonnen haben, während wir hier vorne jetzt die Fahnenschwinger aus Eppenstein sehen und ganz oben in der Kurve, in der Kontrollkurve, da haben bereits die Damen und Herren der Werkskapelle aus Zetweg Aufstellung genommen. Wir verabschieden uns jetzt aber noch einmal mit einem prächtigen Applaus von der Marktmusikkapelle aus Spielberg, die sich hier mit uns verabschiedet hat. Dankeschön, dass ihr im Mittagsprogramm dabei wart und Postbote des Kölners gezeigt habt. Wir konzentrieren uns jetzt Hologramm auf die Fahnenschwinger aus Eppenstein, die jetzt hier schon langsam in die Mitte der Tribüne kommen und uns hier in der Mitte der Tribüne dann ganz exakt ihr Programm vorführen werden. Übrigens die nächste Flugvorführung. Das wird die Vorführung mit den 6 Saab 105 sein. Die wird um 13:13 Uhr beginnen, also in einer knappen Viertelstunde wird sie sein. Und jetzt schauen wir den Fahnenschwingern aus Eppenstein einmal zu. Die haben hier diese wunderschönen Fahnen österreichischer Bundesländer. Hier mit vorne die österreichische Fahne und die steirische Fahne. Eppenstein, ein Ort hier in der Region, ein Ort hier in der mittleren Steiermark. So, jetzt also auf das Signal, wenn es ernsthaft losgeht mit der Vorführung jetzt der Eppensteiner Fahnenschwinger. Wir sind gespannt jetzt auf Ihre Fragen. So. Weitergehen, wir können uns jetzt noch ein Stückchen in aller Ruhe anhören hier, ehe dann die Flugvorführung beginnt. sind noch genau 33,5 Minuten bis zum Start und 3,5 Minuten bis die Bodenstraße für die ersten geöffnet wird. Das Siegerwahl in diesem großen Event dem sicherlich größten Sportereignis dieses Jahres in Österreich entgegen. Michael Schumacher, Künstler Weltmeister, sich auf die 36 Punkten vor Guldan 28, Barrichello 14, Ralf Schumacher 12, Heidfeld 8, Juli 7 Punkte ebenfalls in der Weltmeisterschaft haben und Neuer 6, Rex 6, Wilmer 4, Hattingen 4, Paris 3, Rheinfeld 1, Jugendschakal ebenfalls nicht einen Punkt auf den diesjährigen 5 Rennen. Der kommt in Österreich in der Station Nummer 6 in Kalender. In der Werkstatt der Konstrukteure für Ferrari deutlich 50 Punkte vom Ignaz, Mercedes 32, Philips BMW 18, plus 13.009, A107 und Benetton, Renault mit einem Punkt durch Stadtkammer in die Keller. Wetter durchgearbeitet werde heute einen Grand Prix bei optimalen Verhältnissen, nicht so extrem heiß wie normalerweise im Sommer, herrliches Wetter, traumhafter Tag, am Muttertag, mein Gruß hier noch einmal an alle Mütter, die heute den Muttertag hier im Kreise der Formel 1 Familie verbringen. Und es sind noch 2 Minuten, bis die Boxenstraße geöffnet ist. Auch Michael Schumacher ist bereits fertig, auch er hat bereits eben aufgesetzt, hat alles vorbereitet und ist ausgereift. In der Ausfahrt der Boxenstraße 2, 1, und grünes Licht, es hat
team with live coverage of the Austrian Grand Prix.
ITV in association with Texaco.
Schumacher then, the first man into the nines, and brilliantly into the nines.
Now that is an incredible time. It is 6/10 of a second faster than Rubens Barrichello, and it's 8/10 of a second faster than Mika Häkkinen.
It's one of the shortest and quickest laps of the Formula One year. Spielberg's A1 ring presents very special problems. Welcome to race day in Austria. Hello there, this is the only racetrack where you can see snow up there on the mountains. Those slopes aren't that far away, but today conditions absolutely perfect for racing on the tarmac. This is Michael Schumacher's bogey circuit, but he stuck the Ferrari on pole and comes here on top of the championship standings as well. 8 points clear of David Coulthard after that lucky win in Spain. Coulthard, though, he's been second in Austria for the last 4 years. Barrichello, well, he loves this place. Ralf Schumacher is based in Salzburg. Heidfeld has done well for Sauber. Trulli, though, starts just ahead of him. Now then, Tony Jardine, Michael Schumacher has never won here. You might just remember what happened to him last year as well.
And it could happen again if you look at who's around him on the grid. He's got Juan Pablo Montoya next to him, the man who overtook him in Brazil. But Michael Schumacher started from fourth, and overzealous Zonta, who started sixth behind him, hit him from behind. Off he spun. Jarno Trulli went into him. Look at him interlocked there, and Michael Schumacher was out, and you saw Ralf Schumacher being caught out there as well. This morning, electrical problem with the spare car. Now this man is at his peak of his fitness. He said, I'm much fitter than I was this time last year. Goodness help the opposition this afternoon. Very fit, went back, took his race car. They fixed his spare car as well. Ferrari in very, very good shape, but it's all down to the start.
What chance that the two Williams cars will run away from Schumacher at the start then?
Very good indeed, because it requires more than 60% full throttle here, a power circuit. Gerhard Berger's BMW man, so that's good for us. Juan Pablo Montoya here took second place from his teammate Ralf Schumacher, preventing the brothers on the front row as in Brazil. They're looking good, but it's a question of tyres, and I'm sure James will update us on that later on.
I'm sure he will. Thank you, Tony. Let me just confirm the grid for you then. Fifth pole out of six for Michael Schumacher. Montoya, first podium in Spain, first front row here in Austria. Ralf Schumacher in the second Williams. That is a great effort. Then Barrichello, Trulli and Heidfeld, both ahead of the McLarens. Irvine's Jaguar 13th as normal, and poor Jenson Button down on the back row. The sad truth is we expected that. A big shock, though, to see the McLarens down on the fourth row. Why is that? Well, that's what Louise Goodman has been trying to find out.
McLaren topped the timesheets from the first free practice session on Friday right through to the start of the qualifying hour. Then, just when it really mattered, things started to go wrong. Never mind battling for pole, Häkkinen and Coulthard were struggling just to make it into the top 10. The team eventually recorded their worst qualifying performance in almost 4 years.
Clearly a very disappointing session for everyone in the team. We didn't perform as fast as we'd gone in the morning session. So, you know, considering we're running less fuel, and you know we've had some problems with the oversteer, and we just haven't been able to attack the lap.
It's quite a big disaster. We lost from the pole position maybe 7, 8, 10. So it's quite a big gap. Conditions changed quite a lot in terms of wind, and we weren't able to balance the car for that condition. McLaren has to understand and analyze it, and then when they come with the solution, we will be more clever next time.
It's not over yet. You never know what happens, and we can come away with 10 points, and then qualifying will seem a distant memory. So I think it's important to keep things in perspective, and it's when the checker flag drops that you count your points.
Now, when we left him in Spain, McLaren boss Ron Dennis was still trying to sort things out with David Coulthard after accusing him on this programme of suffering a touch of brain fade. As it transpired, a computer glitch caused Coulthard's McLaren to fail. Today, Ron Dennis isn't that happy with me.
As regards last weekend and my comments, I think Jim Rosenthal's a little bit to blame for that, because what I shared with your viewers was based on the information I was given during the course of the race. I qualified it, and by saying we hadn't got all the information at that stage, or something similar to that. And then, of course, the only thing fed into David was the fact that I'd suffered from brain fade. It scores sort of less than 1 out of 10 as being an insulting remark. I don't think many of the viewers appreciate, you know, we have our own expressions common down the pit lane, and brain fade just refers to a sort of momentary lapse of concentration.
I think it scored just a bit more than 1 out of 10 in David Coulthard's book of Formula One insults, judging by the look in his eyes in Barcelona. OK then, coming up we have Murray's memories of the Österreich Ring. There's Martin's grid walk too. After the race, by the way, our competition result. And there's Ross Kemp learning the ropes with Jordan. Ross intends to be in the pit crew for real at the British Grand Prix. Beautiful day at Spielberg in the Styrian Mountains in southern Austria, around 3 hours drive from Vienna. We've been coming to the A1 ring since 1997. They took just 280 days. They spent £15 million on the new circuit. But this site has Formula One memories dripping off the trees.
The Austrian Grand Prix has been a bit of a stop-go affair. It started in 1964, stopped, and then started again here at the magnificent old Österreich Ring. Now, sadly, just a vehicle park. 1978 saw a mighty cloudburst with cars spinning off, including America's Mario Andretti. And Andretti's lost it! Andretti's out of the race already! Mario went on to win the championship with the all-conquering Lotus 79, but it was his teammate, the charming Ronnie Peterson, who won in Austria. There were some thrilling finishes at the old Österreich Ring. In 1980, Frenchman Jean-Pierre Jabouille in the turbocharged Renault beat that year's world champion Alan Jones in his Williams by a mere 0.8 of a second. Jabouille can see the checkered flag. Jones right behind him, getting closer but not close enough. Jabouille wins and Jones is in second place. But it was even closer in 1982 when Elio De Angelis's Lotus surged across the line just 0.05 of a second ahead of Keke Rosberg's Williams. Listen to James Hunt.
Oh, it's fantastic stuff. The Andrews kept him well blocked. That's very excusable on the last lap, but Rosberg's coming at him. He's going to finish side by side, and the Andrews has just held it.
Sadly, though, it was the last Lotus win witnessed by the team's great founder, Colin Chapman. The Österreich was a fantastic venue, a real racer's circuit, and 1987 was an amazing year. There were 3 starts because of collisions, the first of which was initiated by ITV's very own Martin Brundle. But it was our other British hero who'd take the glory, Nigel Mansell in his Williams Honda, at a blistering average of 146 miles an hour.
And here he is, completing the 52nd and last lap of the Austrian Grand Prix. And as Nigel Mansell crosses the line to win, there is no checkered flag.
Nigel did win the race, and then came the interview.
Nigel, first of all, will you carefully and slowly take your hat off? You've got an enormous bump on your head. Can you let them see it?
I don't know whether...
Right up there. Oh, I'm sorry.
Off with the old and on with the new. The A1 ring, a shortened and sanitised circuit in the same beautiful valley which opened in 1997. In 1999, Eddie Irvine took over leadership of the Ferrari team after Michael Schumacher broke his leg at Silverstone, to achieve his 2nd Grand Prix victory and the team's first in Austria since 1970. Mika Häkkinen won for McLaren last year, as he did in 1998. But the man to watch this year has to be his teammate, David Coulthard. David's had his moments here. He punted Mika off at turn 2 in 1999, but in spite of that, he's been 2nd for the last 4 years. He's been Mr. Consistency this year with points from all the first 5 races. Can he make it his 11th career win here today? Stay tuned.
Well, David Coulthard suffered when traction control returned in Spain. Not everyone is using it. In fact, here the teams are struggling to master all those latest gizmos. James Allen has this.
There were plenty of glitches with the new computer systems 2 weeks ago in Spain, but since then the teams have done a lot of testing, going deeper into what they have to offer. And although reliability is still a concern, they're all using the traction control systems this weekend.
People can't run without it really now. There's too much of an advantage in it. Obviously turn 1 and turn 2 here, important acceleration points away from those corners from quite low speed, so it's acting quite heavily. And likewise on the start, I think quite a heavy function here.
One of the key jobs traction control does is it helps to preserve the rear tyres, and that's going to be essential today because the key to today's race is going to be managing the tyres. We've seen in practice that the Michelin's performance goes off a little bit after the first few laps, but then comes on very strongly later on. The Bridgestone is much more consistent. If that happens today, Michael Schumacher might well be able to make a break for it, but the Williamses will come on very strong towards the middle of the race.
Thanks, James. You could easily go for a stroll in the forest round here. Instead, let's go for a quick walk on the grid with Martin.
Thanks, Jim. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the grid. Not got too much time today. Michael Schumacher on pole position, of course, and he's got to get up that hill. Can you see it, Andy? Up that hill faster than Montoya in the Williams, who's alongside him on the grid. Juan Pablo, first time on the front row, of course, in Formula 1. Let's just see if we can have a quick word with him. Haven't managed to tee anything up. Juan Pablo, any chance of a quick word for the British viewers? Is that a maybe or a no?
No. Be all right, just...
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Welcome to the front of the grid. Okay, good luck. Oh, well, we tried. So let me take you down, and we think this car's got probably 30 or 40 horsepower more than Michael Schumacher has. So Schumacher's racing the McLarens, of course, for the championship, but I think he's racing BMW today, and particularly to that first corner. Michael may well run a little bit less fuel to give him half a chance to get to that first corner first. Big shunt last year here on the first corner, as you know. Big shunt yesterday in the Formula 3000 race. Tricky area. Plus, I think Ferrari still have overheating brakes as well. So a little bit less fuel, excuse me very much, a little bit less fuel before he has to get to that first corner will be critical. Ralf Schumacher, his brother, just behind him here. He could be in the same situation. Michelin tyres may grain, may go off a little bit for the first 10 laps and then come back to them. Williams BMW very strong today. Barrichello will be sitting there waiting, hopefully, to pick up the pieces. A new order on the grid today. New guys around for us. Montoya on the front row. Trulli here in 5th place. You can already see him in the car. Häkkinen and Schumacher and Coulthard having a bad time. Back to you.
Thanks very much indeed, Martin. We are all set. Last year, Michael Schumacher didn't get beyond the first corner. The Austrian Grand Prix is coming up for you next.
Dat voorkomt dat de achterwielen gaan spinnen. Bijvoorbeeld bij de start, maar ook bij het uitaccelereren van een bocht. Nou, daarvoor heb je dat traction control system. En voor de start is dat een speciaal launch control system. Dan wordt de wagen als het ware afgeschoten. Patriciello stond niet bekend in het verleden als een geweldige starter, dus die zal er absoluut voordeel bij hebben. Maar deze Michael Schumacher beweert dat ondanks al die elektronische hulpmiddelen het nog steeds een zaak is van de coureurs. Beste coureurs kunnen zo'n systeem ook als beste gebruiken. Zeg je Oostenrijk en Formule 1, dan zeg je Niki Lauda, die zijn duim opstak naar Michael Schumacher. Lauda tegenwoordig de hoogste baas bij Jaguar. En de meest succesvolle Oostenrijker tot nu toe in de Formule 1. 25 Grand Prix overwinningen voor Niki Lauda. Van 15 met Ferrari. Hij werd 3-maal wereldkampioen. En Lauda won in 1984 de grote prijs van Oostenrijk. Voor eigen publiek dus. Deze man won hem nog nooit, Michael Schumacher. Maar ja, ooit moet er een einde komen aan zo'n negatieve reeks. En die weet dus vandaag. En wat kunnen we nog gaan verwachten van McLaren? Dat kan ongetwijfeld teambaas Ron Dennis ons vertellen.
Ron Dennis, 7th and 8th on the grid, not where you'd wanted your cars to start here with such a tight first corner. How much is that going to affect the way you operate this race?
Well, the first thing is a better question asked after the first lap. I mean, this is not an easy circuit to cope with when it comes to first lap instance, and you know, after that we have a strategy which we think will give us the best opportunity of a result. Of course, we're here to win. It's not easy to win from here, but it has been done in the past, and we give it our best shot.
So does that mean we might see one or both of your cars on a two-stop strategy?
It means that we're going to do, we'll have a strategy which we think is best appropriate, but certainly not one that we're going to share with the world.
That's a great shame. Best of luck there, Ron.
Thank you.
Ja, een van de best bewaarde geheimen in de Formule 1. Hoe vaak gaan de rijders stoppen in de race? De winnaar vorig jaar, Mika Häkkinen, had toen maar 1 pitstop nodig. Maar wie weet willen de McLaren's vanaf die 4e rij wat gaan proberen. En kiezen ze voor een 2-stop strategie. Ik verdenk Montoya en Ralf Schumacher ervan in elk geval dat ze maar 1 keer gaan stoppen. Want zelfs met veel benzine aan boord is de Williams nog snel. Normaal gesproken hoort u aan mijn zijde het vertrouwde stemgeluid van Tom Coronel. Helaas, hij is er vandaag niet bij. Is actief op het circuit van Silverstone. Samen met zijn teamgenoot Jamie Campbell Walters in de Lister Storm. Ze stonden op de eerste startrij achter de Nederlanders Mike Heeseman en Jeroen Blekemolen in de Chrysler Viper. Laten we maar hopen voor Tommy dat hij daar de overwinning kan gaan pakken in die FIA GT race. Volgende keer in Monaco over 2 weken is hij weer van de partij. En nu we het toch over Nederlanders hebben. Hoe ging het met Jos Verstappen gisteren in de kwalificatietraining? Nou, niet al te best. Slechts 16e, had veel last van onderstuur.
Welcome back to the A1 ring. It's 20 degrees for race 6 of F1 2001, the Austrian Grand Prix. Don't forget, after the action, the result of our competition, plus Ross Kemp's dramas as a Jordan mechanic. But now we join Martin Brundle and Murray Walker. Beautiful day for it, Murray.
Absolutely sensational day, Jim, and this wonderful scenery all around us. It is the most picturesque Grand Prix circuit in the world, without a doubt. Now, you've had the scene set superbly for you by Martin. I'm going to repeat the key points, because so very often at this Austrian Grand Prix, the opening first 2 corners have in effect settled the race. Last year, you've seen the footage of Michael Schumacher being punted off by Zonta. His teammate, Rubens Barrichello, being hit by Jarno Trulli. Well, they come surging up to that first corner here, uphill. You can see it's the bottom left corner on the graphic you're looking at. They tackle it at about 80 miles an hour, but there's going to be a solid lump of 22 of them. And then there's the long climb up to turn 2, which they reach some 185 miles an hour. Rubens Barrichello there 4th on the grid. Now, Michael Schumacher, as is his way today, was last out of the garage. Everybody was on the grid, and at 1/4 to the hour, just before the last possible moment he could leave the garage, he did so. Rolled out onto the grid. Everybody melted away as the Ferrari cut its way along the tarmac into that pole position. It's the first time that Michael Schumacher has been on the front row of the grid in Austria. He's never been higher than 4th on the grid before, and this is the only Grand Prix race, as you look at him now, that he has not won. Is he going to do it today? Well, he's won in Australia, he's won in Malaysia, he's won, of course, in Spain. And he's got these row of pole positions. Only one pole position this year has been denied him, and that was David Coulthard, the San Marino Grand Prix. Now, what a struggle McLaren have got. 7th and 8th on the grid, and in front of David Coulthard there is Nick Heidfeld. Nobody's mentioned Heidfeld yet today. The young German driver in the Sauber, very much the team of the season as far as I'm concerned. Superb effort with their Ferrari engines to be up in 6th position for Heidfeld and 9th position for newcomer Kimi Räikkönen. So Coulthard and Häkkinen have got Heidfeld and Trulli and Barrichello and Schumacher and Montoya to pass before they can get to grips with Michael Schumacher, assuming, and what a big assuming it is, he gets round the first corner and clears off. What do you think?
Michael had a bit of a cloudy face as he came to the grid. A few dignitaries standing in the way of his grid slot. He didn't look too happy at all when I was down there, Murray, just before walking along the grid. And he's really got a job on his hands this afternoon to fight off those BMW Williams. He knows they've got 5 or 6 kilometres straight line speed advantage on him. Plus, when they're in his slipstream, it could be as high as 10 Ks. And I think Montoya knows that if he gets away reasonably well, and of course they've got launch control now, they should all get away quite well. The inside of the track very, very dirty. Saw 1 or 2 of the runners thinking ahead and trying to clean up that side of the grid this morning during the warm-up. Fastest, of course, Häkkinen, and second Coulthard. Every other session this weekend, and McLaren has been fastest up until when it really mattered in qualifying. They got the setup wrong. They didn't react fast enough. They hit traffic. It was windy, it was dusty, and they've given themselves quite a headache for the afternoon. If Michael Schumacher can get away early on in this race, I think then he could be extending his World Championship advantage today. So Michael knows the early stages of this race are absolutely critical.
Yep, as you look at Ralf Schumacher, ahead of him on the grid is his teammate Juan Pablo Montoya, and Montoya is fearless, the Colombian. He's won in America, he's been champion of America, he's won the Indy 500. And you look at Jarno Trulli, and now at Pablo Montoya himself. 22 cars on the grid. Jenson Button right at the back in the Benetton, and his teammate Fisichella in front of him. The Benettons are still climbing that massive mountain. Tasso Marquez in the European Minardi is 22nd on the grid, and any moment now the parade lap, the formation lap will begin. Now there are 71 laps in this race. It's a short track, 2.7 miles long, and away they go. Talk us round, Martin.
Yes, no, they don't want to use the launch control too much off the grid. They want to lay 2 black lines of as much rubber as they can get down to give themselves a better chance next time around. That's a very steep hill, as I hope you could see on the grid walk. Up there into turn 1 means you can brake super late, but it's dirty on the inside. A long sweeping straight then down towards turn 2, which has another uphill arrival zone. And again, this does tend to be an overtaking slot, but it's got to be a willing party that you're overtaking into there. 2 cars cannot get around there safely at the same time. It'll almost always end in tears towards how the old track used to be now, just for a little while as they head down into turn 3. Tricky corner, the cars always look quite slow and clumsy through there. Bit of off camber, the track falls away from you. And cutting back now to the McLaren Mercedes-Benz pit. Hopefully we'll go back on track. Yes, we will, as they head through turn 5. A really fast left-hander where they lean right on the outside of the racetrack, straight into another left-hander. If you any problems out of one corner, you're straight into the next one. Tends to have a snowball effect. Then a pretty easy turn 7 before they come over the crest here into the corner where they've all been flying off the racetrack through practice and qualifying. It's a high-speed arrival, something around 150 miles an hour over the crest of the hill there. and immediately feed the car in over a new white line that marks the pit lane entry. And this is the final corner where they have to launch off the curb, try to catch the car the other side, keeping as much throttle on as possible into gain once again that pit straight up the hill towards turn 1.
So, just remember, it is this first turn that's going to be critical. Michael Schumacher nearest you on the right-hand side, then Montoya. Behind Michael Schumacher, his brother, Ralph. Behind Montoya is Rubens Barrichello, then Jarno Trulli, Nick Heidfeld in the Sauber, and in row 4, the 2 McLarens as Jenson Button brings up the rear. The last grid, that is the 11th row of the grid. Look at Montoya. Watch for the lights when they come. There they are. It's going to be 5 when they all go out. The race will begin. There'll be a pause after the 5th light. And it's go! They get away. A good start, a brilliant start. And the 2 Jordans are left on the line. And up, and it's the 2 Williams in the lead already. Montoya leads, and Ralf Schumacher is in 2nd place. Michael Schumacher down to 3rd position, and look at that.
Hakkinen 2, so we've got a Sauber, a Jordan, and McLaren. There's another car also on the grid, so launch controls are still not sorted out. We've got a Williams 1-2, a Ferrari 3-4, Coulthard then. Too many cars to clear on the line, Murray. I wonder if they'll have to bring the safety car out. So many cars to get out of the way.
Yeah, it's a very short lap. It's Raikkonen who is stuck down there. And off goes the Jordan, and they're pushing it away from the line. Let us hope that they are able to clear those cars, because it's a magnificent start for the 2 Williams BMWs, and Montoya leads a Grand Prix, as he did in Brazil, and it is Mika Hakkinen who is sitting on the line. Mika Hakkinen, who was 8th, the man who has done so badly in the World Championship this year, a double world champion already, but lap 1, Montoya leads, Ralf Schumacher, Michael Schumacher, Barrichello is still in 4th position. He started there.
I think they have to bring the safety car out, Murray. Too many cars to clear away. And let me have a look, see if I can see any kind of notice. The safety car is deployed, as you can now see on your screen. They cannot clear Hakkinen out of the way. He's not really in a super dangerous situation. Clearly they can't find neutral. There should be a separate reservoir of energy to pull that car into neutral. You lose all the hydraulic power when the engine dies. Should be a separate source of energy. It's not working on the McLaren. And when you see a replay of the start, both Williams BMWs flying off the line. Michael Schumacher appearing to get away well, but just not going anywhere once he got up to speed. And we saw 4 cars stalled on the line. You can see them bumping along. They're actually turning the engine over as they're trying to push that McLaren along. And really, he's going to have to get out, and they're going to have to crane it off.
Mika says, I don't know, that's it, shakes his head. Well, what a terrible, terrible season it is for double world champion Mika Hakkinen. 3 failures to finish already in Australia, in Brazil, and in Spain, where he had that problem. And here, again, it looks as though he's not going to even start the race. And here is the replay. Now, watch the 2 white and blue BMWs. Look at Montoya on the dirty side of the track. And what a sensational start from Ralf Schumacher, straight past his brother. And his brother is challenged, but Michael Schumacher turns in. He's cleared that first corner this year. Martin, take this one again.
Well, look, they're just having to dive all over the place. So many, I've never seen so many stalled cars on the grid. Both Jordans then, Hakkinen and Raikkonen, and no dramas at the first corner. We're missing some key players by the time we get there. And look, a Williams 1-2. Coulthard appeared to have a good start, look, virtually passed both Ferraris, but then lost out somehow, is now back down in 5th place. And look at that, that's a sinking feeling in your heart if you're Eddie Jordan. And a disaster. All of these Fandango electronics, look, and they're just failing. They're failing the drivers, they're failing the teams.
Just goes to show the best electronic brains in the world couldn't solve that problem. Now, with the safety car out, and there's the replay again, and that start from Ralf Schumacher's is one of the best I have ever seen in Grand Prix racing. Straight up to his teammate. Now, the order now, we're on lap 3, of course, with the safety car still out, with Montoya leading Ralf Schumacher in the Williams BMW, Michael Schumacher 3rd, his teammate Rubens Barrichello is 4th, David Coulthard, who started 7th, has gained 2 places, he's up to 5th.
And here's that start. Look at Ralf, just hooked it up beautifully, but Montoya keeps the inside line, doesn't really squeeze his teammate, and Ralf, knowing he's going to have to yield, Michael just did not get away. Looked like there was much too much power being taken out by his launch control. Moved off the line. I stood looking out of the window while you were talking, Murray. Michael Schumacher moving away nicely as the lights went off, but just didn't go anywhere, and the Williams BMWs just launched, didn't they?
But the start of the Austrian Grand Prix was not Ralf Schumacher, it was Eddie Irvine, 13th on the grid, 1-3, and he's in 6th position now in the Jaguar. I don't think he'll be expected to stay there because Jaguar are still working very hard on the car, but you can see him bobbing and weaving as he goes into the right-hander at turn 4.
Now they've got the car inside the white lines that show either end of the pit lane itself, Murray. They can start, the mechanics can start Häkkönen's car, as the same with Frentzen and Trulli, and he can get back into the race if they can restart it. Now, we understand the safety car is coming in this lap, and the race director, Charlie Whiting, will not be pleased to see a McLaren parked right across the fast lane of the pits there.
Well, I tell you this, there's been a lot of discussion about whether Ron Dennis, the boss of the McLaren team, would ask Mika Häkkinen to defer to David Coulthard, as Coulthard is doing so well in the championship compared with Häkkinen. I don't think there's any doubt that that will have to happen now. It's going to be no points for Mika Häkkinen in this race, and David Coulthard is in 5th position as the race is going to restart. Now watch out, because they're all tied up together, and it's Montoya, Schumacher, Ralf, Schumacher, Michael, Barrichello, David Coulthard, then there's a gap to Eddie Irvine. Behind Eddie Irvine is Jos Verstappen in the arrows. He's come up from 16th to 7th position. Another terrific start. The Austrian Grand Prix is go again, and this is lap 4 out of 71.
Häkkinen then driving down the pit lane. Murray just saw him get up and running. He was parked in the fast lane, and Benetton came through. I don't know who that was who pitted, but Häkkinen, no problems there. He's now back in the race. Of course, he's lost those 2 laps, and there you see then an overhead shot of Mika Häkkinen joining the race, plumb last. At the moment, Frentzen is the only retiree of those 4 that stalled on the grid.
Yeah, and Heinz-Harald Frentzen was in 8th position in the World Championship, looking to do much better this year in the Jordan, which is going so much better, but no luck here in Austria. And it's still close up at the front between Coulthard and Montoya, just 2 seconds when this lap started, shaking his head, sitting in the Jordan in the garage, Heinz-Harald Frentzen from Mönchengladbach, who's 3 times a Grand Prix winner. Now, remember, the Williams BMWs are on Michelin tyres, and Rubens Barrichello very saucily having a look at his team leader, Michael Schumacher, as they go into turn 1. The gap between the 2 is very close.
And look at Verstappen right up behind. Verstappen clearly on lower fuel, and that is Trulli off the road. Trulli out of what is 19th place. He stalled on the grid, remember. Verstappen was shaping up. Did he pass the McLaren? Yes, he did. Verstappen then up into 5th place, having passed Coulthard, who appears to be very slow at this stage of the race.
Now, that arrows with the Asia Tech engine is blindingly quick in a straight line, and that's what happened to Trulli. Trulli hit, I think, was it Pedro de la Rosa or was it Eddie Irvine? Whichever, it was one of the Jaguars. He is out of the race, so it looks as though both the Jordan drivers are taking an early bath, because we are now on lap 5, and Verstappen, I suspect, Mika Häkkinen tours in, retires from the 4th time in 6 races. He's only had 2 points finishes at the San Marino Grand Prix and Malaysia. Replay of Jarno Trulli going off at turn 1, lap 5 now.
Well, Trulli would already been a lap down. Whichever Jaguar he was fighting, he would have been a lap down because of his start line problems, but already then in the gravel trap for him. And look at Barrichello hustling teammate Michael Schumacher, 3rd and 4th place, and Montoya then with a 1-second lead over his teammate. Barrichello shaping up then to have a look up the inside into turn 2. Can he make it round Michael Schumacher? That was close.
Yeah, I'll have you chuck your nose off, says Michael Schumacher. And Jos Verstappen, look at him in the air. Now, I was saying earlier on, I suspect he's on a 2-stop strategy. That car is blindingly quick in a straight line. We saw him do wonderfully well in the Malaysian Grand Prix in the wet. They seem to have a very good control system on the car. But Verstappen is closed right up now to Rubens Barrichello in the Ferrari. Race order, lap 6, Montoya, Ralf Schumacher, Michael Schumacher, Rubens Barrichello. There's 2 seconds covering the first 4, covering the first 5, and Jos Verstappen has just made the fastest lap of the race so far in the arrows. Michelin tyres, first and second. Bridgestone, third, fourth and fifth. And in sixth position, David Coulthard is in the points. David Coulthard started seventh, he got up to fifth, he's been passed by Jos Verstappen. An incredible drive by the Dutchman, Jos Verstappen in the orange arrows. He has a look at Barrichello. Barrichello does not have a look at Michael Schumacher this time. It's coming up to turn 2 that Barrichello starts to close, or has done in the past, on Michael Schumacher. But it looks as though Michael has got the legs on his teammate at the present moment as Montoya, Ralf Schumacher, Michael, Barrichello, and it is Williams BMW, Ferrari. What a change at the front. The McLarens, only one of them in the points and the other out of the race.
Well, we saw Montoya carelessly leading the Brazilian Grand Prix, of course. Murray wondered if he'd feel under pressure leading his first Grand Prix back then. He made no mistakes at all until, ironically, Verstappen ran into him as he lapped him. But there's a good squabble down the field, and that must be Irvine, Panis, Villeneuve and Benoldi in the second arrow. So we're looking there at 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th, and as you can see, it's very close.
Yeah, the two arrows are doing well. Benoldi, Enrique Benoldi from Brazil, new to Grand Prix racing, Formula 1 this year. And the Williams team in the garage look impassively at their man as they cross the line. And already we have exceeded 1/10 the distance in the Austrian Grand Prix. And Jos Verstappen driving magnificently. Now, that is Heidfeld behind, no, it's Raikkonen. Kimi Raikkonen in 7th position behind David Coulthard, the man in the points in the McLaren. And out of the race already, Heinz-Harald Frentzen, Mika Häkkinen and Fisichella has retired in the Benetton. 19 left out of the 22 who started, lap 8.
Yes, it was obviously Raikkonen then who got away well. It was Heidfeld in the sister Sauber that stalled on the line, not Raikkonen. Heidfeld down in 18th, Trulli down in 19th. The other two stallers on the grid are both out of the race. Häkkinen and Frentzen, they're unable to get those cars running. You saw Häkkinen pulling in the pit garage nose first. He knew his day was over. And now Verstappen's got up onto the back of Barrichello. Can't do too much about the Ferraris. Surely he's on a lower fuel load, significantly lower, I would imagine. Yeah. And as the main players now settle into the race, and the pattern begins to be set.
So the question now is, what about fuel stop strategies? Well, I would expect Jos Verstappen to come in first, and if he's on a two-stopper, he'll probably come in round about lap 23. We're on lap 9 at the present moment with the two Ferraris and Verstappen 3rd, 4th, 5th absolutely together. And if Verstappen's on a two-stopper, I say he'll come in round about lap 23. If the others are on a one-stopper, I think the earliest we can expect anybody to come in will be round about lap 38. But I expect everybody to stay out for as long as they possibly can. Start with a heavy fuel load, come in late, take on as little fuel as possible to save as much time as possible, and then sprint out. And the Michelin tyres are going to be stronger, they believe, in the second half of the race than in the first. The Bridgestones are very stable throughout the race, and it's Michelin leading, Michelin second, and then the Bridgestone runners, the two Ferraris, and Jos Verstappen. And look how tight it is around the circuit. Now, I am surprised, Martin, that Michael Schumacher is not doing better than this. He got pole position absolutely magnificently. You think he's playing some sort of a waiting game? Doesn't look like it.
I suspect he's quite fat on fuel, to be honest, Murray, and I'm sure Coulthard is, having had a poor grid slot. I'm sure both McLarens were on low fuel, but Montoya leads from Schumacher, Ralf, Michael Schumacher 3rd, and that was Benoldi passing Eddie Irvine there. So Benoldi making his way through the field, Barrichello 4th, Verstappen 5th, Coulthard in 6th. We'll be back shortly.
Hoor, Villeneuve in de rond. Je kon aanzien komen dat hij daar geen ruimte had om in te halen. En dan is Irvine er weer voorbij. En dan komen ook de heren van Prost voorbij zeilen. Het was trouwens Booty die hem inhaalde. Ai, wie is dat? Is dat een van de Williams die daarnaast de baan raakte? Ja, ik mis daar volgens mij Ralf Schumacher vooraan. Dit is Michael Schumacher, maar waar is Ralf? Of heb ik mij lelijk vergist? Volgens mij was daar een Williams die even van de baan gleed. Dit is Coulthard. Dit is Raikkonen. Dit is Panis. Dit is Benoldi. En daar inderdaad Ralf Schumacher met een probleem. Ralf Schumacher tergend langzaam op weg naar de pits. Nou, daar staan de monteurs van Williams al klaar. Ai, dat is zuur voor het team van Williams, voor Ralf Schumacher. En wat is er aan de hand met de Duitser?
I mean, brakes is too risky for me. Sorry.
I'm coming in, too risky. Iets met de remmen. Zoveel is duidelijk. Hij wil niet verder. Volgende uitvaller is Ralf Schumacher. Nou, dan hebben we Jos Verstappen nu op de 4e plaats. Want rekenen kunnen we. Jongen, wie had het kunnen denken? Jos Verstappen vertrok als 16e aan de Grote Prijs van Oostenrijk. We hebben 10 ronden geleden en hij ligt op de 4e plaats. Ja, we weten van de Nederlander dat hij goed start. Nou, dat heeft hij vandaag ook weer gedaan. Zocht de gaatjes, dook erin. Maar daarbij wel de aantekening dat hij een lichte wagen heeft en hoogstwaarschijnlijk dus op een 2-stop strategie zit. Nu is het zaak voor Verstappen om...
Lap 12 out of 71 and you are looking at the stricken Williams BMW of Ralf Schumacher, who has just retired. He has rolled into the pit lane having lost his place. There goes Schumacher, Michael through, there goes Barrichello, there goes Verstappen in the arrows. So Verstappen is now up into 4th position and Montoya is being pushed very hard indeed.
If that's the replay then of Ralf Schumacher falling out of the race, some kind of technical problem on the way into turn 3. This happened earlier on in the race too. Eddie Irvine seems to be going backwards down the field, squeezing Villeneuve. They just the gentlest of kisses, and Villeneuve into a bit of a pendulum swing there. Irvine still holding down 9th place, certainly on his back foot. Jacques having to take to the grass. Yeah, he lost it initially, didn't he, off of the actual curbing and grass on the way in, as Eddie probably didn't see him coming up there. So Jacques will recover from that spin. We don't know what the problem is with Ralf Schumacher. And now look, the 2 Ferraris are hustling Montoya. Montoya's fallen off the pace by some 0.8 of a second. Remember what I said to you on the grid. The Michelins apparently go away then for 10 to 15 laps after the early stages of the running, and hopefully come back to them later in the stint. And now you're seeing all the signs of that as the 2 Ferraris, Verstappen and Coulthard, home in on Montoya in the lead. James.
Yeah, Ralf Schumacher knew the game was up, Martin, as he rolled down the pit lane. The engine was switched off. The mechanics have had a really good look at the car, and it's a right rear problem. I think it's a suspension failure. Could be a brake problem, but it's more likely to be a suspension failure. But as you say, these tyres, the Michelin tyres, Montoya's struggling.
And thank you, James, because now Michael Schumacher is right up with Montoya's Williams BMW, pushing very hard indeed. The Colombian is under pressure with a massive capital P, and Rubens Barrichello is hanging on to Michael Schumacher, and absolutely fabulous. Look at the way Jos Verstappen in the orange arrows is hanging on to the 3 cars ahead of him. They must have a lot of horsepower compared with him, but that Asia Tech engine is very strong indeed. They've been developing it. He's running very low downforce, but he's managing to hold the car on the track, and that is through into lap 14 out of 71.
Well, the BMW with too much grunt up the hill for Michael to have a look, but Montoya really struggling through the corners. The tyres grain. Let me tell you what that means. They get the rubber rolls on top of the tyre, and instead of the tyre sitting on the track, you're squirming around on the little balls of rubber. You can't slow the car down, you can't turn it in, and you can't get on the power. And look, he's just absolutely a victim to be overtaken. All he can do is make that car as wide as possible. But surely they're going to pass him easily, as some say. When they do, they'll all go past him, but he's certainly clearly making a good job of holding them up. But he just has not got the grip to turn in or get out of the corners.
But he's holding him, and Rubens Barrichello, of course, is keeping Michael Schumacher respectable. Verstappen is keeping Barrichello respectable. Barrichello is looking for a way past Schumacher, who's got to hold him back. and at the same time try to attack Montoya. And that has given David Coulthard the opportunity to close a bit, and Raikkonen is in a 6, but no, the Sauber is right up with them now, because Montoya is slowing up the race. You see, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and in 7th position, Olivier Panis in the BAR is closing on them. Montoya is struggling. Something has got to give.
Well, the tyres are letting him down. We know at this stage, we know how fast that car is in a straight line. And providing he can keep parking it in the middle of the apex. And of course, while you're fighting a guy who's holding up, creating a traffic jam, you've got to watch him. And you've got to watch your mirrors as well, Murray, because everybody will be trying to make, and somebody is being black flagged. So a black flag then.
It's Trulli. Jarno Trulli is being black flagged. Apparently he left the pit lane while the red light was on. You're not allowed to leave the pit lane until there's a green light showing. There's somebody who watches the approaching track, and if he sees cars bearing down on the end of the pit lane, he'll give them a red light.
Yes, the only time the red light comes on at the end of the pit lane is when the snake behind the safety car is coming around. As it enters the beginning of the pit zone, the red light goes on. You're not allowed to join until the whole crocodile has passed the end of the pit lane, truly, clearly ignoring that. And can Montoya keep this lot behind him while he waits those few laps for his tyres to come back in? At the moment, he's managing to do it.
Well, 25-year-old Juan Pablo from Bogota in Colombia is an incredible man. He's totally unfazed.
This is the best chance that Michael Schumacher's had so far, Murray. Sorry to interrupt you, but can he go around the outside? We know Michael can brake a lot later, and still he's coming back. Michael's got to think of his world championship.
Oh, through goes Barrichello. Sorry, Martin. Through goes Barrichello. Off goes Montoya. Off goes Michael Schumacher. Michael Schumacher tried to dive inside Montoya, who had to go wide. He's gone onto the gravel, and so Rubens Barrichello has grasped his opportunity, and now Williams have got to fight back. We've seen Schumacher go out of the race. What's happening to Montoya? There he is inside Enrique Benaldi. So Montoya has slipped from 1st to 7th places.
Yes, and Montoya deciding he would. That was silly, actually. He should have let Michael go. He should realise that he's not in a position to fight for this race. And Michael went down the outside. He had a much better braking capacity. We know that's a tyre-related thing at this stage of the race. And the Colombian just would not yield, and it's cost him and it's cost Schumacher dearly.
Question for historical enthusiasts: when was an Arrows last on a podium position? A long time ago, and it's Jos Verstappen now in 3rd position.
The Hungary 97, remember Damon nearly won the race, lost it on the very last lap at the Hungaroring, but Verstappen then very fast, whatever fuel load he's got in that car.
So Montoya has got a clear track in front of him, but a lot of cars in front of him. And David Coulthard is now right up there with Jos Verstappen. It's Barrichello leading. It is Verstappen now in 2nd position. And behind Verstappen is David Coulthard. It's getting very stretched indeed as Michael Schumacher closes in 6th position on Olivier Panis. Replay.
Here we go then, Michael saying, OK, you're going to cover the line. Well, I'll have to go down the outside. And the Colombian getting back off the brakes, look, losing the back of the car, really just almost sacrificed himself in that corner so as not to lose the lead. And Michael Schumacher definitely paid the price. He had no option but to try to go around the outside of him. The Colombian doing such a good job of blocking the racing line, and he's perfectly entitled to do that. But as he got off the brake pedal, he left himself way too little space to slow the car down. Luckily for Michael, he didn't stall the end. And watch Montoya lose the back of the car, have to turn into the slide, and begins to take up the space that Michael thought he would go around. Michael then taking a few risks there, you have to say, to try and get around the outside of that Williams.
Well, I don't know if you've registered this, but this is a quite incredible drive by Kimi Raikkonen as Enrique Benaldi in the Arrows comes in. He's obviously going to retire. He's not going up to his tyre-changing position. Into the garage goes Benaldi from 8th position. That means Eddie Irvine moves up, and Kimi Raikkonen in the Sauber is in 4th place. There he is in the blue and white car, followed by Olivier Panis. Behind Olivier Panis is Michael Schumacher. Fastest lap of the race, Michael Schumacher, 1 minute 12.2, and that is about half a second outside the lap record.
Yeah, Michael over a second faster than anybody else while he closed the gap to Panis, obviously recovering from that turn 2 incident with Montoya. A man with a smile on his face at the moment will be David Coulthard, his main championship protagonist, now behind him. His teammate once again out of the race, Häkkinen stalling on the grid and never really getting his car up and running. He must surely know that Verstappen in second place will be stopping earlier than he does for fuel. So Coulthard feeling pretty happy with life. The only problem he's got is that Michael Schumacher is still very much in this race, albeit 6th place right now.
Lap 19 then out of 71. You see in front of you the top 7, but here they are again. Rubens Barrichello leading the Austrian Grand Prix from Jos Verstappen by 6/10 of a second. David Coulthard, who started 7th, is now 3rd. Kimi Räikkönen, who started 9th, is now 4th. Olivier Panis in the BAR 5th. Michael Schumacher, who slipped off, is now up into 6th position and challenging. Montoya, who was leading, is in 7th place. 8th is Eddie Irvine. 9th is Villeneuve. 10th is the second Jaguar of Pedro de la Rosa, driving in his second race for the team. They're doing much better here. Retirements. Frentzen is out. Häkkinen is out. Fisichella is out. Ralf Schumacher is out. Trulli is out. 17 out of the 22 who started are still running.
Now, strangely then, Montoya, running back there in 7th place, is now back on the kind of pace he was running at the start of this Grand Prix. Seems like that graining and lurgy problem from his tyres have actually gone away, and he's now back on pace, but it's too late for him. So, Barrichello from Verstappen by 7/10 of a second only. Coulthard a further 1.4 down the road. We'll take a break.
België en Hongarije, dat waren de 2 grote prijzen toen waar hij de 3e plaats haalde. Vorig jaar 1 keer 5e in Canada Verstappen en 1 keer 4e in Italië. Niet op het podium, wie weet vandaag. Maar we weten dus van de Nederlander dat hij weinig benzine aan boord heeft en dat hij in ieder geval 1 extra stop gaat maken. Schumacher achter de wagen van Olivier Panis. Montoya achter Schumacher op de 7e plaats. Een achterstand van 5 seconden door zijn avonturen in de grindbak. Maar heeft wel een voorsprong van 16 seconden op de nummer 8, Eddie Irvine. Villeneuve 9e, De La Rosa 10e, Alesi 11e, Burti 12e, Button 13e, Alonso 14e, Tauso Marquez 15e en Nick Heidfeld op de 16e plaats. Bernoldi is niet meer uit de garage gekomen, want er staat met grote letters retired achter zijn naam. En dat betekent in het Nederlands dat hij dus niet meer in de race zit. Ja, 20 ronden van de 71 gehad. Als ik alle hoogtepunten nu al zou moeten opsommen, dan ben ik een half uur bezig, denk ik. Dus dat doe ik dan ook maar even niet. En daar een aanval van Michael Schumacher. Oh, dit is het moment, sorry. Wel op blijven letten. Ja, Montoya mist volledig het rempunt. Schumacher is dan wel zo handig om maar heel hard op het rempedaal te drukken. In ieder geval de grindbak vermijdend. Ik dacht even dat Schumacher daar punt stond om Panis in te gaan halen. Maar daar zit hij nog steeds achter. En hier rustig op de 2e plaats Jos Verstappen. De zaak nu het hoofd koel te houden en geen gekke dingen te gaan doen. En daar Patrick Head. Het zag er allemaal zo mooi uit voor zijn coureurs. 2e en 3e op de grid.
Lap 22 out of 71 then. Just approaching 1/3 distance as you look at Juan Pablo Montoya in the Williams. He is in 7th position, not making any impression on Michael Schumacher. Indeed, he's dropping back a bit after having run wide and gone onto the gravel. But Michael Schumacher, and there he is in 6th position, has not managed to get ahead of Olivier Panis in the BAR. Panis can't do anything about Kimi Räikkönen, who is in 4th place in the Sauber. David Coulthard, who started in 7th position, looks as though he's good for World Championship points. He's Mr. Consistency this year. He's already scored in all the 5 World Championship races this year. He's the only man to have done so, and I think James Allen has got news for us.
Yeah, just trying to work out what the strategies everyone is on. Rubens Barrichello, David Coulthard, Kimi Räikkönen, Olivier Panis and Michael Schumacher, I reckon, are on quite a lot of fuel. They can go perhaps as long as lap 44, 45, 46 if necessary. Verstappen, we've said, is lighter on fuel. I believe Montoya probably is as well. So that means that Räikkönen is looking very good here. But the guy to focus on for me is David Coulthard. I do believe that with a bit of patience, and the McLaren, who have a fantastic pit stop record, they can actually win this race here today if Coulthard is a little bit lucky.
Yeah, and at the moment, Michael Schumacher's on 1 World Championship point, and David Coulthard is on 4 World Championship points for 3rd position. So he's closing the gap by some 3 points, and he's 8 points behind Michael Schumacher in the championship at the present moment. But there's a long, long way to go in this race. David Coulthard, there he is, supremely fit. And the McLaren team were obviously stung to the quick by their failure to do well in qualifying yesterday. And that is the Arrows team.
Well, only 1 Arrows left in the race, so bad news then for Verstappen. He's going so well. Obviously, we all knew he had less fuel than the cars he's running around, but he's coming in at a 3rd distance, just over a 3rd distance, a normal 2-stopper then for Verstappen, and that will put him down the order. Nonetheless, a good run from him in the early stages of this race. Coulthard then moving up to 2nd, Räikkönen then up into 3rd place at this stage of the race. Barrichello, a new fastest lap up front on a 1:12.2, and Coulthard just about matching him in 2nd place.
Well, if Kimi Räikkönen moves into 3rd position as into the pits comes Jos Verstappen, it'll mean to say that Sauber are in a podium position for the 2nd time this year. The seconds ticking away, out goes Jos Verstappen. Now, the first 7 have gone through. We're waiting for Eddie Irvine now in 8th position as Verstappen comes up to the exit from the pit lane at turn 1. Eddie Irvine and Villeneuve have gone through, so it looks to me as though Jos Verstappen, who came in from 7th place, has dropped to 10th position. David Coulthard, of course, has moved up a place. There is the race leader, Rubens Barrichello. He's 3 seconds now. No, he's 3 seconds ahead of David Coulthard. And Kimi Räikkönen in 3rd place. Panis is 4th. Michael Schumacher has been elevated to 5th position. Only one of the leaders has yet made a pit stop, and that, of course, was the man we've just seen, Jos Verstappen, as Panis continues to bottle up Michael Schumacher. Panis now in 4th place.
Yes, I don't think Verstappen will be that far down. He could still have maintained at 7th place, so working out quite well for Verstappen at this stage of the race. As James said, these guys could well go well over 40 laps, I think, with the amount of fuel. And Michael Schumacher losing out on the exit of turn 1 there in the turbulent air of the BAR Honda, and nothing he can do. He's nowhere near close enough to have a nibble. Panis, an old hand these days, not going to make too many mistakes. And we're on board with Villeneuve then, who is chasing Eddie Irvine in 8th. Remember, they've already touched once in this race, and causing a spin on this very corner for Jacques Villeneuve.
Well, if any team, and there is the BAR and the Ferrari really battling, and Michael Schumacher then has managed to get ahead of Panis.
Panis must have a problem. He lost so much time in that one straight and corner. I wonder if Panis has got some kind of problem then. Already losing 200 or 300 metres to Michael Schumacher. Hopefully we'll get a replay of that one. Schumacher then now staring at the back of the Sauber of the 21-year-old. And look, here's Panis and Michael then really taking an easy run up to the inside. And do they touch? No, they don't. I wonder why Panis lost so much time. Maybe we'll find out shortly.
Well, whatever, that's a very slippery corner. Turns 1 and 2 have been claiming driver after driver in practicing and qualifying. And you hit the gravel there, you get a lot of dust, you get onto the grass, you lose momentum, of course, because you're going uphill. And Panis is definitely dropping back as Räikkönen in 3rd position can now see the Scarlet Ferrari in his mirrors. And the gap between Räikkönen and Michael Schumacher is just under 2 seconds. And the comparative lap times were, well, there was only a 1/10 of a second in it to Michael Schumacher's advantage on the previous lap. But that was when he was battling with Olivier Panis and he's pulling away from the BAR, closing on the Sauber in front of him. We're on lap 26 now, so we are more than 1/3 of the way through the Austrian Grand Prix 71 lap race.
Well, let me remind you what's happened so far. Both Jordans stalled on the grid, as did Heidfeld in the Sauber and Mika Hakkinen in the McLaren. At the first corner, the Williams are 1 and 2. Montoya leading well, Ralph staying with him, Ralph Schumacher. Schumacher dropping out then with some kind of technical problem, and then the tyres going away on Montoya's car, tripping over with Michael into turn 2. Barrichello takes over the lead. Then Verstappen was running well. He's had to pit early. He was on a low fuel load, and Bernoldi is out in the arrows. He retired mechanical problems. Truly black flag disqualified for leaving the pits under the red light while the safety car was going past. And Ralph, I've talked about Fisichella, just a retirement early on. Hakkinen and Frentzen never getting up and running in this race after stalling on the grid.
As you look at the battle for third position, Kimi Raikkonen in the blue and white Sauber Petronas. Ferrari engine is being challenged by the Ferrari. The Ferrari of Michael Schumacher, who's taken 1.6 seconds out of his 1.9 second lap. And is that a McLaren? I thought it was a McLaren. It was a Minardi. It was Tasso Marquez who was slowing up. And Michael Schumacher now, there he is. There is Marquez in the European Minardi, touring out of the race. Well, he was in 15th position, ahead of Nick Heidfeld, who had the bad start, of course, in the second Sauber. He's still running, now in 15th position, but he is a lap adrift. Kimi Raikkonen continues to resist the efforts, the sterling efforts of Michael Schumacher to get past him, but surely it must be only a matter of time. The Ferrari is quicker, and look at the experience of Michael Schumacher compared with Raikkonen.
It'll be interesting to see how Raikkonen handles this. He's been so supremely impressive and confident in these early stages. Michael, great drive there out of turn 2. Surely just in the sweet spot for a good toe all the way down. We know the works Ferrari engine must have more power than the customer Ferrari engine, and there you see it clearly for yourselves.
Back into the podium position, Michael Schumacher, who slid off at turn 2 in that confrontation with Juan Pablo Montoya, who is now in the points, incidentally. Montoya, with Verstappen having come into the pits, is now in 6th position. Replay as at the Grosser curve, Schumacher takes 3rd position.
Interestingly, Schumacher holding his hand up to Raikkonen to say thanks for letting me through. I think it's really thanks for being mature and sensible about this. I don't think Raikkonen was making it too easy for Michael Schumacher. Michael feeling the need to thank him. And there's Michael lining up. Must have been a replay earlier in the race as he was lining up to pass Panis.
Probably getting on for another 20 laps before the leaders come in for their sole pit stop. But the top 6 on lap 29 out of 71. Rubens Barrichello 2.3 seconds ahead of David Coulthard, who is 4 seconds ahead of Michael Schumacher, who is just past Kimi Raikkonen, who is 4th. 5th is Olivier Panis in the BAR. 6th is Montoya, the previous race leader. We are leaving Spielberg, but come back to us soon now.
is nog op de baan. En hier het moment dat Rubens Barrichello Jensen Button op een ronde zet. Dat moet toch een hard gelach zijn voor die jonge Engelsman. Vorig jaar nog rijdend voor het team van Frank Williams. Sterk debuutseizoen, Jensen Button. Uiteindelijk die 8e in het wereldkampioenschap met 12 punten. Er een paar goede races bij zitten. 1 keer 4e, 4 keer 5e en een keertje 6e. Ja, nu rijdt hij in de Benetton. Dat is dit jaar geen geweldige wagen. Murti gaat aan de kant voor zijn landgenoot Barrichello. Murti tegenwoordig rijdt voor het team van Prost. Ligt op de 12e plaats. En ook daar is Barrichello nu voorbij. Dat betekent nog 11 wagens in dezelfde ronde. De volgende man die Barrichello moet gaan dubbelen zag je daardoor in beeld glijden. De groene Jaguar van Pedro de la Rosa. Pitboard voor Michael Schumacher. Verschil met Coulthard. Je ziet het 3,8 seconden. Draagt hij zo meteen door. Inmiddels heeft Juan Pablo Montoya weer zijn oude tempo teruggevonden. Dat betekent dat het gaatje met Jos Verstappen wat groter is geworden, namelijk 18 seconden. Voorsprong van Verstappen op Eddie Irvine is 7,5 seconden. Als Schumacher dit tempo blijft rijden, heeft hij volgens onze computer 7 ronden nodig om. Dat we hier even een uitstapje zien. Ik denk van iemand in de achterhoede. Het was een blauwe wagen van Prost. 7 ronden nodig om Coulthard te pakken. En daar is Barrichello de La Rosa voorbij. Hier de onderlinge verschillen van de top 6. Michael Schumacher die Jensen Button inhaalt. Alsof hij stilstaat. Daar de uitvallers. De laatste was Tazo Marquez.
Lap 31 out of 71 in Austria. None of the current top 6 have made a pit stop yet. Rubens Barrichello, David Coulthard is 2.5 seconds behind him. But Michael Schumacher in the Ferrari is now closing on the McLaren in second place. Michael Schumacher's previous lap was nearly a second faster than David Coulthard. Kimi Raikkonen has been, and there you see David Coulthard. He's coming up to Pedro de la Rosa in the Jaguar to lap him.
Yeah, Coulthard's had 2 very bad laps in traffic, and look how close Michael Schumacher is. And Schumacher is on that lap 1.4 seconds faster than either Barrichello in first place or Coulthard in second place. A storming drive now from Michael Schumacher. He still easily has the ability to win this race.
Well, let's just remind ourselves about Mika Häkkinen, who was in 10th place in the World Championship with just 4 World Championship points when he started this race, the double World Champion. He has failed again. His car failed to get going. It was his 4th retirement from 6 races. It really does look now as though Mika Häkkinen is out of the championship from this year, and that he will have to defer to his teammate David Coulthard, who's had those 5 points finishes from 5 races this year, who is in second position this year now here, and he is some 3.5 seconds behind Rubens Barrichello as we ride with the BAR of Jacques Villeneuve with Eddie Irvine's Jaguar. There he is. There is Villeneuve, who suffered an engine failure in the half-hour warm-up this morning. Changed cars, and he's out in the spare car now as Barrichello turns into turn 1. Now the climb up to turn 2 as he builds to 185 miles an hour. Down through the box into second gear from 7th to 40 miles an hour on the apex. Stop it sliding. Just nip over the curbing there. Keep your left wheels off the grass. Down to turn 3, the Gerser curve. Second gear, 55 miles an hour. There is Jean Alesi in the blue Prost, about to be lapped by David Coulthard, who has got Michael Schumacher bearing down on him. Ron Dennis there, and Michael Schumacher is now 1.7 seconds, 1/10 of a second slower than Coulthard on the previous lap, and he has lapped Alesi.
And does Michael Schumacher get held up? Yes, he does, slightly behind Alesi. Alesi now yielding, but cost Schumacher there adjust a little bit, and Coulthard now with a bit of breathing space in front of him has fallen to 3.8 seconds behind. The traffic has not played into his hands at all, and both Ferraris gaining, and Coulthard now very much the meat in a Ferrari sandwich.
Yeah, we ought to be seeing some pretty quick laps soon, because the fuel load is dropping all the time. Of course, the best lap we've had so far was Michael Schumacher, 1 minute 11.6, which is actually a new lap record. David Coulthard created the lap record last year, 1 minute 11.78. So Michael Schumacher has already broken the lap record. His fuel load is dropping. The weight of the car is going down. David Coulthard, Michael Schumacher, and the gap just over 1.5 seconds. But Michael Schumacher is going faster on this lap than he's been before. It's exactly as I was just saying. As the fuel load goes down, he goes faster. He's just gone through the first of the 3 sectors on this circuit, faster than anybody. But what a battle is developing behind him, because we've now got lapped cars, and it's happening all the way down the field as Raikkonen and Panis and the others close up on them.
Yes, the big fight then is Montoya you're now looking at, closing in on Panis. 5th, Panis 6th. Montoya, remember, he fell back to 7th when he had the near coming together with Michael Schumacher into turn 2. And there's clear air at the front. Now we're going to see who's got the pace. Villeneuve then passing, and Montoya I think that must be Eddie Irvine with some kind of problem. Louise.
I stand here with Mika Häkkinen. Mika, the second race in a row we've seen a McLaren fail to get away off the line cleanly. Presumably it's your electronics yet again?
We simply don't know. We simply don't know. The team will investigate tonight and also tomorrow whole day to understand what has happened, and we don't know, was it my mistake or was it a technical failure in the car? It's very complicated to see that.
So many races into the championship now, so few points on the scoreboard. Is this the end of your championship hopes?
Well, it doesn't look too promising, does it?
Thanks, Mika.
Oh, bless him, he's a lovely bloke, very phlegmatic about it, because Mika Häkkinen, as I said earlier on, had only got 4 World Championship points compared with Michael's 36 when the race started. He's got no World Championship points from this race. Michael Schumacher, if he finishes, is going to get at least 4, I think. And he's continuing to challenge David Coulthard. But now the interest is developing with the Bridgestone and the Michelin tyres. The top Michelin driver is Montoya, with Ralf Schumacher, his Williams teammate, out of the race, and Montoya is 6th.
New fastest lap then of a 1:11.1 for Michael Schumacher. As I said, clear air at the front. And what did Barrichello do? A 1:11.8. Coulthard a 1:11.4. Michael Schumacher a 1:11.1. So there you can see the pace, and Michael Schumacher, this is critical for Coulthard. He knows that if he lets Schumacher past, surely Barrichello will be told to yield. If it's a Ferrari 1-2, Barrichello will have to yield, and it'll be 10 points for Michael and 4 points for David if he ends up in 3rd place. So he's somehow got to stay ahead of that Ferrari of Michael Schumacher's, so that Ferrari cannot bring team play into it.
Yeah, at the present moment, with the Ferraris 1st and 3rd, they're on a potential 14 Constructors' World Championship points, compared with McLaren 6 for David Coulthard. So the gap is extending by 8 points, and Ferrari were already 18 points ahead of McLaren. Ferrari, who won the Constructors' Championship in 1999, but lost the Drivers' Championship, and then they won it again last year, of course, so they're looking for a hat-trick to prove that they really, really, really are back at the top of Formula One, as historically they have been in the past, but they've had major gaps. Now, there is the Sauber diving out to take John Alesi, pursued by Montoya and Panis, there is Montoya. He is in 6th position, and you're looking now at the battle for 5th and 6th, Panis and Montoya.
Yeah, strange. We saw Panis really fall away from the pace, didn't we? And Michael Schumacher passed him easily in a straight line. Whatever his glitch was, it's fine now. So Raikkonen 4th, 2.2 seconds ahead. Then you can see Raikkonen at the front. That is a lapped Prost, and Panis coming under pressure. Montoya not close enough up there into turn 3, and they are just 0.4 of a second apart last time past the pits, and it's even less now. So a good scrap then. But look at Raikkonen up there in 4th place, and he clearly is not on a light fuel load. They're 37th. This is the 37th lap of the race.
And the Jaguar team mechanics coming out into the pit lane. I would guess it's for Eddie Irvine, who is in 8th position. There's quite a gap between him and Jos Verstappen. He's got Jacques Villeneuve right behind him, and Montoya is continuing to press. Now look at the gap between Raikkonen. There is Alesi about to be lapped.
And Panis running wide in the last turn. Montoya then just easily breezing up the inside, and Panis will not get back as they head up into 1. So Montoya takes over 6th place.
And Michael Schumacher is continuing to fly. He's now less than a second behind David Coulthard. Replay, Alesi in the blue car. Montoya dives inside. Panis's BAR gains the place. He's up into 5th position with Raikkonen, Schumacher, Coulthard and Barrichello ahead of him. We're looking at Rubens Barrichello, the man who won the German Grand Prix last year for Ferrari. His sole win for the Maranello team. Eddie, and the Jaguar exits the pit lane.
Della Rossa it was then that Jaguar were waiting for, so from 13th place Della Rossa came in for a pit stop. He's been lapped already. Everybody up to Jacques Villeneuve in 9th place has been lapped at this stage of the race, and it's really a head-to-head between Coulthard. It's 11.6 for Barrichello and 11.3 for Coulthard and 11.288, just 0.8 of a second behind then for Michael Schumacher. Not much to choose.
So who is behind Schumacher that you're looking at now? Well, Raikkonen is 4th, Montoya is 5th, Panis is in 6th. Those are the points position. Jos Verstappen, who was going so well in 2nd place, is still close to the points. He's 7th position in the arrows, having made 1 pit stop, the highest runner to have stopped. Eddie Irvine is still out there, 8th position. Jacques Villeneuve just behind him is 9th. Jean Alesi, who you've just seen lapped by the 3 leaders, is 10th. And Jenson Button in the Benetton, by virtue of staying out, although he's been lapped, is higher than he's used to this year. He's in 11th position. And here in Austria last year, Jenson Button finished a fine 5th in his first Grand Prix year for the Williams team. Now, Button then in 11th place. Bertie in the Prost is 12th. Both the Prost are still running. Fernando Alonso in the European Minardi is in 13th place, ahead of a lapped Nick Heidfeld and Pedro de la Rosa, who has just been in the Jaguar. As the Ferrari, the McLaren and the second Ferrari complete their 39th lap. We're now into the last third of the race.
So Coulthard then once again a fraction slower than Michael Schumacher. The gap remains at 0.8, and they're both homing in on Barrichello. Barrichello now just 2 seconds in the lead as he negotiates the small uphill apex of turn 2, and a Minardi cruising, and that clearly must be Alonso, because Marquez out of the race earlier on.
Well, fine drive by Alonso, the very lowly funded Minardi team compared with the top constructors of Ferrari, Williams, Jordan, McLaren, Benetton, of course. And now look at this battle, here it is. On your right, in the black and silver car, David Coulthard, 2nd in the World Championship. And the man who leads him in the World Championship is now big in his mirrors. It is Michael Schumacher. Not much in it, but Michael Schumacher is on the quickest lap of the race at the present moment. He's gone through both the first and second sectors faster than anybody else has been this afternoon. The temperature, by the way, is creeping up. It started at 28 degrees, the track temperature. It's now 33, but still Michael Schumacher goes across the line as we ride with Heidfeld. Now Heidfeld in the Sauber. Let's Martin, talk us through from the driver's point of view.
He's heading down into turn 3, and there's locking brakes there because it's a downhill slope and you have to start turning in. You unload the right front as you turn in. So easy to snatch a brake, and it's a question of balancing the car through here and looking for that curb on the outside, getting on the power as soon as you're confident and before you can see the curb. And a long left-hander. This is turn 7, which is an absolute nothing for a Formula 1 car, and we head to a very exciting Minardi pit stop.
And a very exciting one. Pablo Montoya is closing on Kimi Raikkonen. He's about to make the fastest lap of the race, the Colombian in the Williams BMW with its Michelin tyres. Out goes Jenson Button in the Benetton, and Montoya is just about 1.5 seconds now behind Kimi Raikkonen, as there is Barrichello. Now look how close it is. Barrichello, then Coulthard, then Michael Schumacher, then we're going to see Raikkonen, but there's about a 12-second gap between Schumacher, Michael and Raikkonen from Finland. But Montoya is closing fast on the Sauber.
Right, Coulthard took 9/10 out of Barrichello on that lap, and in his fastest lap of the race, he's responded to the Scarlet Ferrari filling his mirrors, and now look, it's much more even Stevens. 1.1 behind Barrichello, 0.8 ahead of Michael, and clearly Coulthard's got his work cut out this afternoon. He's going to feel pretty bruised, I think, time he's had to fight both these Ferraris off. James, what can you tell us?
It's the crucial phase of the race here, Martin. We're building up towards the pit stops now. Just up to 2 seconds between the top 3. That's enough for a mistake to decide the outcome in the pit stops. It takes 26 seconds to come in here, put the fuel in the car and get back out again. And as I say, we're into the area now where a mistake could decide it, a stroke of genius, or just simply good pit work.
Well, you've just seen Fisichella talking to Alan Permain, and that's Montoya slowing. Montoya slowed right down, having closed up on Kimi Raikkonen. You can see the cars passing him. It looks as though we are about to see the second Williams BMW retirement. Yes, the crestfallen people in the garage are taking the gloves off. They know that it's now time to pack up their equipment. The second retirement
But Williams and BMW and Michelin have again shown that they are very much a force to be reckoned with in Grand Prix racing. They're still developing the car, they're still developing the tyres, they've done a fabulous job, but the Austrian Grand Prix is over for them, and that means to say that Panis will now be in 5th position, and Jos Verstappen, the gallant Jos Verstappen, who made that early pit stop in the Arrows, having been in 2nd position, is back in the points. Martin reminded me about that brilliant drive of Damon Hill's in Hungary in 1997, when, against all the odds in the Arrows, he took and passed Michael Schumacher to lead the race. A brilliantly exciting and inspiring moment. Well, Jos Verstappen is doing a sterling job at the present moment too. Oh, steady on. He's just coasting it downhill. That's Juan Pablo Montoya. He's getting it away from the track, very sensible indeed, into a position of safety where there's no danger of it being helped as Barrichello, Coulthard, Michael Schumacher, the gap between them in total 2 seconds on lap 43 out of 71. Over the line they go to complete the lap into their 44th lap.
So Michael, the quickest one that time around, the gap down to just 0.6 of a second now, and back on board with Heidfeld, your current 12th place man. Remember, he stalled on the grid, and that's why he's already a lap down in this race. Took him a long time to get those 4 cars running. Safety car out initially. Heidfeld really struggling to keep the back end of that car under control as he is chasing there. That is Villeneuve, so quite why he's changing this, because he's a lap behind.
Yeah, so lap 44, both the Ferraris very much in the hunt, only one of the McLarens with Häkkinen out. Both the Saubers are still running with Raikkonen very much in the points. Both the BARs are running with Panis in the points. Only one of the Arrows, that of Jos Verstappen, is running. Both the Jaguars, Eddie Irvine is in 7th place, and Pedro de la Rosa is still running. There's the Ferrari men coming out into the pit lane. This is going to be the first pit stop for one of the top 3 contestants, Barrichello and Schumacher, and there is the Michael Schumacher, 3rd position, and Barrichello stays out as he comes up behind the Jaguar.
Yes, and he's going to get a clean run up the inside, so that works out well for Barrichello. He'll lose a bit of time having to turn in early, but can Coulthard and David and Michael Schumacher clear the Jaguar before turn 2? Any little tiny piece of traffic, and there's a bit of gamesmanship, isn't it? They've gone back in again. Any tiny piece of traffic, look, and it has delayed them slightly, is absolutely critical at this stage. As James said, the pit stop will be critical, and the in and out laps will be equally as critical.
Panis in from 5th position. The gap between him and Verstappen was 22 seconds. The gap between him and Raikkonen ahead of him was 11 seconds. And so there is Jean Alesi coming in the Prost from 9th position, as out goes the BAR of Olivier Panis. Looks like a good stop, that. 5th position. He may well have retained the... No, I don't think so. I think that Verstappen's probably got through, but Verstappen, of course, has got to make another stop, whereas Panis will not. And James, can you update us?
Well, Murray, you called it a piece of gamesmanship. It's exactly what it was. The Ferrari mechanics coming out. McLaren guys looking ready to respond. It's like a chessboard. They know, these mechanics down here, they know that they could well decide the outcome of this race. It could swing any one of 3 ways. Fantastic atmosphere. I can't remember a race which would hinge just as this will hinge on the pit stop.
Well, there is Panis back in the hunt in the Honda-powered BAR. Both the Jordans are out, of course. There's 4 Honda-powered cars, the 2 BARs and the 2 Jordans. A tremendous battle between them all the way through the season, because they both want Honda patronage next year. And Jordan, I would have said, had got the best chance, but BAR are doing best here, and Ferrari are out again.
And then we didn't see the last lap, but Barrichello lost a half a second to both Coulthard and Schumacher. There you can see they're much closer, and I don't think they're sandbagging this time. I believe one of the Ferraris will definitely be in the pits this time around. Which one will it be? Verstappen is in the pits for his 2nd stop too. Will it be Barrichello? Will it be Michael Schumacher? There's 9/10 between the 3 of them. How far can Coulthard go on his fuel? And it's Schumacher. Schumacher in the pits.
From 3rd position. Now it is up to Rubens Barrichello and David Coulthard to really get the hammer down now to try to improve their advantage as Michael Schumacher stops.
If I was Ferrari, I'd be asking, James, can you tell us anything?
Well, looking about 9.3 seconds would be an ideal stop, pretty quick. That was a really nice stop. He's in the game. He's really in the game here, guys.
Yeah, remember they're 2/3 the way through the race, so they shouldn't be too long for fuel, James. But if I was Ferrari now, I'd be asking Barrichello to ease up on this next lap and try to hold Coulthard up if they want to bring championship leader Michael Schumacher into play.
Yeah, it's a tough one for Paul Rubens, of course. He's supposed to have equal rating with Michael Schumacher, and you can see the Sauber there of Kimi Raikkonen, who was in 4th place. They got a left rear wheel problem. It's cost him, I would think, at least 10 seconds, that, and it will have prejudiced his chance to stay ahead of Olivier Panis as he exits the pit lane.
Yeah, he was about 10 seconds ahead of Panis. We'll see where that shakes out, but Coulthard really needs to get on it. Coulthard's lost a half a second in the middle part of this lap, crucially, and I think I saw a bit of traffic in the background, so not a great lap then for Coulthard, just when he needs one. And the second Ferrari's in the pits, Murray. Barrichello straight in at the end of the next lap, and good moves there by Ferrari.
And David Coulthard, who won the Brazilian Grand Prix and has been in the points in every other race this year, leads in Austria. But as I've said in the past, it's a false dawn because Rubens Barrichello has made his stop. Michael Schumacher has made his stop. We're on lap 48 out of 71, and David Coulthard has yet to come in. He's got to really, really hit it in this lap.
Well, it's all down to the drivers then for the Ferrari team. No more pit stops. They can, of course, play the team tactics over the radio, but can McLaren now pull out some kind of supersonic pit stop? How far can David Coulthard go on his fuel load? There's Michael locking up a right front, I would imagine, into turn 3 on his out lap, running a little bit wide. Look, yes, on the grass. Bad. If that's the out lap, it's a replay. We don't know exactly when it was, but not what Michael needed.
And is David Coulthard coming in? No, he is not. David Coulthard, and in comes Jacques Villeneuve from 7th position in the VAR as Alesi goes through. Here is race leader David Coulthard, and he's just done the fastest lap of the race. He's really pushing it. 1 minute 10.8 under 1 minute 11.7. 1 minute 11 seconds, and that is an absolutely terrific race. Super fit David Coulthard. He's really got his dander up, and after that bad race that he had in Spain last year when he fought his way through after a bad start up into 5th position to get 2 points. Louise Goodman.
I stood here with Juan Pablo Montoya. Juan Pablo, a race full of highs but ultimately lows for you. What went wrong in the end?
We lost hydraulic pressure and we lost the gears and throttle and everything. I got an alarm 2 corners before, and I knew that was going to be.
Tell me about that incident with Michael Schumacher.
Oh, you know, he braked quite late. I braked late as well when I saw he was going to go for the outside. When I went to press the pedal a bit harder, the pedal was a bit long. It's been long all weekend, and just like the rear tires, and ran wide.
Thanks for talking to us.
Well, Rubens Barrichello is still ahead of Michael Schumacher. David Coulthard is still ahead of both of them, but has yet to come in as Eddie Irvine in the points does so in the Jaguar. Are Jaguar going to get their first World Championship point this year?
Let's hope so, but Coulthard a 1:10.9 that time around. Not quite as quick as the lap before, but still significantly quicker than Schumacher or Barrichello. And this could just play beautifully into Coulthard's hands. Michael, we think, made a mistake on his out lap. That's why he's ended up the second of the Ferrari. Some 3.4 seconds down he is at the moment. So that gives Coulthard a bit of breathing space. But yes, look, here they come. Can they launch Coulthard back onto the track ahead of Barrichello? Schumacher slightly out of play at this time. Traffic in the way. Crucial lap.
What drama as the McLaren mechanics with the tyres in the heaters when they brought them out. They've got those heaters off now, and Jean Alesi is in front of David Coulthard. He must move over and let the McLaren through, or David Coulthard is being balked and loses time, and he gets past as he comes down to turn 8 in this 9-corner circuit and into the pit lane inside the white line. And that is Rubens Barrichello. who is in second place with Michael Schumacher behind him, David Coulthard, James.
It's going to be very marginal, we all know that. He had a 25.2 seconds lead, but of course his stationary time will be less. He's taking less fuel on board than the two Ferraris did. Did he do enough on his in lap? He's revving the engine, gunning the engine, 8.0. He might well do it.
Well, he's down the pit lane now. He's at the speed limit at the moment now. Look for the Ferraris on the right, and it looks as though David Coulthard is going to do it. He's coming up to the uphill section, and I cannot see the Ferrari yet. Yes, look. David Coulthard still leads. Barrichello is second. Schumacher is still third. Now, David Coulthard has got to get the remaining heat into those tyres, but it looks to me as though he is safe. He's now lap 51 out of 71. 20 laps to go. If David Coulthard wins this race, it is going to be an absolutely magnificent drive. From 7th on the grid after that bad qualifying session yesterday. But now all the top 3 men have completed their single stop.
He'll be 3 or 4 corners, getting his tyres up to full operating temperature, understanding exactly the car that's underneath him. And then I think Coulthard has the faster car this afternoon. They're all on exactly the same fuel load, of course. They're all fueled to go just to the end of this motor race. Coulthard has track position. It takes any teamwork of him being scuppered behind the Ferraris out of play, of course, and that must be, is that Della Rosa?
It's Eddie Irvine.
It's Irvine, is it? Pulling...
no, it's Della Rosa, sorry.
Yeah, Della Rosa pulling out of the race. He was down in 12th place. And, of course, now Ferrari can still ease Michael up into second place. But Coulthard and McLaren are now controlling the race.
Well, now, what are going to be the Ferrari orders as off goes Villeneuve? Pit lane speeding penalty, 10 seconds. It's going to cost him while he's stationary, plus the time that it takes him to get into the pit lane, slow down to that mandatory 50 miles an hour and then accelerate out again. He was in 8th position. He's going to lose the place. No, he may not, because John Alesi was 53 seconds behind him.
Good news for Kimi Raikkonen in 4th place. That long pit stop when they couldn't get the left rear on still enabled him to stay in 4th place. So Coulthard leads by 1.3 last time around. And Michael Schumacher from Barrichello. Michael Schumacher 3.1 seconds further behind Raikkonen, 25 seconds behind in 4th. Panis 5th, Verstappen in the final points scoring position. We'll be back very shortly.
Barrichello kan natuurlijk gewoon frank en vrij gaan aanvallen zometeen. Hij is niet de man die wereldkampioen moet worden bij Ferrari, dat is Michael Schumacher. En wie weet kan hij in één moeite door, dus wellicht als het misgaat, Coulthard meesleuren in zijn val. Oei, Coulthard er eventjes naast de baan. Barrichello zal het zeker gaan proberen. Daar komt Villeneuve, stop en go. Misschien te hard gereden in de pits. Wie zal het zeggen? Nou, het blijft zonder gevolgen, alleen kan hij nu zeker de 7e plaats vergeten. Man op de 8e plaats, Villeneuve dus binnen geweest voor een stop en go. En hier kijken we naar de koploper in de race. 2 gele puntjes. Dat betekent dus dat er ergens op de baan iets aan de hand is. De vraag is alleen waar. Kan natuurlijk de wagen van de La Rosa zijn die daar naast de baan staat. We zagen de La Rosa heel langzaam rijden. Die zal dan even in veiligheid gebracht moeten worden. Burti wordt hier geland. Gaat keurig aan de kant voor Coulthard. Schumacher, of ik moet zeggen Barrichello, heeft daar nu even last van. Eerder in de race ging Burti keurig aan de kant voor Barrichello. Oh, Schumacher. Ging dat wel goed aan de achterkant. Of was dat een slecht schijn? Ik had even het idee dat hij wat ver naar buiten ging. In die laatste bocht voor start en finish. Barrichello is er in ieder geval voorbij. Maar daar Schumacher. Is niet helemaal vlekkeloos door die bocht gekomen. Wat is wijsheid? Moet Barrichello gewoon maar Schumacher voor laten gaan? In dat geval verdient Schumacher 2 extra punten. Want de tweede plaats levert 6 punten op en de derde plaats 4 punten. Of moet Barrichello gaan proberen Coulthard aan te vallen? Het is nog vroeg in het seizoen, dus waarom niet? Dan let zo meteen op.
Lap 54, replay, and Michael Schumacher nearly goes off. He's just managed to collect the Ferrari, but he's lost time. And Rubens Barrichello is on a tremendous charge. Look at him, second place, and he's only a second behind David Coulthard. Look back, and you see Michael Schumacher. What are going to be the Ferrari team orders? Are they going to let Rubens Barrichello stay ahead?
Well, Michael, we've now seen 2 mistakes from him in the last corner last time around, and also on the outlap that scuppered any chance he had of taking the lead. Remember, they were nose to tail virtually as they went in for the pit stop. But Coulthard has not got 10 points in his pocket at all yet. For whatever reason, on this set of tyres or in this stage of the race, he has not appeared to have that advantage over Barrichello. In fact, it's swapped around now. Barrichello, the faster by 2 or 3 tenths of a second, and it's Michael who can't quite keep up with him.
Yeah, it's amazing, this Formula One business. Remember David Coulthard, we showed him before the race began, when he was talking about his awful 7th position on the grid for him. And he said, but never mind, you don't get points for where you go on the grid. You get points for where you finish in the race, and we could still win it. That is optimism and determination. He could still win it. He's on lap 55. He's got 16 of these 2.7-mile laps to go. But Rubens Barrichello there in the Ferrari is trying for his 2nd Grand Prix victory. The first one that he had was at Hockenheim last year when he came from 18th on the grid to win the race in appalling weather conditions.
I think the McLaren doesn't work as well with a fueler. Remember at the beginning of the race, Coulthard passed by Verstappen, struggling to hang on, yet set a new fastest lap and a new lap record just before his pit stops on very low fuel. And he'll be very relieved to find, and there he is running wide in turn 1 again. He'll be very relieved to find that he was actually a few hundreds faster last time around than his pursuer Rubens Barrichello. Michael Schumacher also now getting up to full racing speed.
Yeah, you don't get points for the fastest lap. I think you ought to do personally, and one for pole position. That's my personal opinion. But David Coulthard nearly a second faster here today than he was last year when he put up the then record lap. And he's gone round in 1 minute 10.8, so that's 9/10 of a second quicker. Eddie Irvine there in the Jaguar, who just saw him in 7th position going over the crest. He's going to be caught and passed and lapped for the first time by David Coulthard shortly. And look at Barrichello. Now, the gap as they go across the line is still 9/10 of a second. Now, is Eddie Irvine going to move over and let the flying 2 first through?
Well, he'll get the blue flags, and there's been a little bit of needle between Irvine and Coulthard recently. They've accused each other of blocking in qualifying, and David's felt Eddie did not let him through as easily as he might have done while he was lapping him in previous races. We'll see what happens this time around. But Barrichello and Michael Schumacher now was at 1:11, half a second quicker than Coulthard. Coulthard's got his work cut out. I think we're seeing a little bit here also of it's much easier to chase than be chased, especially on this racetrack. The fine line between loads of grip and the limit of the racetrack and a dusty trip through the gravel traps is absolutely tiny, and Coulthard then trying to keep it on the road, but those Ferraris are not going to let him have it easily.
Right on, lap 57 now out of 71, 12 of the 22 starters left. David Coulthard, Rubens Barrichello, Michael Schumacher, you see them together in the same shot. Kimi Räikkönen is 4th, Olivier Panis is 5th, Jos Verstappen is 6th, Eddie Irvine still just out of the points, 7th position, yet to be lapped, he's about to be lapped. Villeneuve is 8th in the second BAR, Alesi is 9th, Berti is in 10th position, and now Barrichello is right with David Coulthard, and for the record, 11th is Button and 12th is Heidfeld. The rest have retired.
Coulthard losing 8 tenths to Michael Schumacher and over half a second to Barrichello. He lost momentum in the last corner with the Jaguar in front of him. Barrichello having a clean run, and this is the net result. Coulthard needs to get the hammer down now. He needs to try to get himself a 1.5 seconds advantage. This next 5 laps is his opportunity to reassert himself in this race. At the moment, he's on the defensive.
That's Räikkönen 4th. Michael Schumacher on the previous lap was faster than Barrichello, faster than Coulthard. The gap is down to 2.7 seconds between Coulthard leading, Michael Schumacher 3rd position. Ferrari on 10 World Championship points, McLaren on 10 World Championship points, Coulthard on 10 World Championship points, and championship leader Michael Schumacher on 4 World Championship points. It could still all change. But Kimi Räikkönen there is looking good for another points position He finished in 6th place this year in his first ever Grand Prix in Australia. He really is a man to watch, and the rumours are that Ferrari are after him.
1:11.5 that time around for Coulthard, and quicker than Barrichello. It's really toing and froing up the front. Coulthard leads by 0.9. Michael Schumacher further 3 seconds behind. We're going to take a very short break. We'll be back to see how the final stage of this race unfolds.
Via overwinningen van Niki Lauda in 84 met de McLaren Porsche. Daarna in 85 en 86 Alain Prost, ook met de McLaren Porsche. In 98 Häkkinen met de McLaren Mercedes en vorig jaar dus ook Mika Häkkinen. Let op, Schumacher. Gaat zo meteen even wilde gebaren maken naar Eddie Irvine. Ja, als je niet beter weet, denk je dat hij de lens aan het poetsen is. Maar dat was dus zeker niet het geval. Boze Michael Schumacher. En daar Coulthard. Met weer wat blauwe vlaggen. Onder andere voor Jos Verstappen. En voor een van de wagens van het team van Prost. Dat zou dan Jean Alesi moeten zijn. Die gaat netjes aan de kant. En wat doet Jos zo meteen? Jos nog altijd liggend op de 6e plaats. Een voorsprong. Nu een veilige 8 seconden op Eddie Irvine. Krijgt zo meteen de blauwe vlag. Wie weet kan hij zijn vriend Michael Schumacher nog een beetje helpen door iets langer dan toegestaan Coulthard af te houden. Daar is Jean Alesi en daarachter dan Michael Schumacher. Schumacher, wiens kansen om hier eindelijk eens te winnen in Oostenrijk niet zo groot meer zijn. Zit nu achter Alesi en is er langs. Verstappen is al aan de kant gegaan. Verstandige beslissing. Mengt zich niet in het gevecht tussen Coulthard en Barrichello. En laat het de heren zelf uitvechten. En hier Schumacher achter de Nederlander. Een situatie die we ook in de kwalificatietraining meemaakten. En toen gleed Jos in die bocht van de baan af. En schrok Schumacher zich een hoedje. Dat liep allemaal goed af.
To go, about 12 minutes for the Austrian Grand Prix, and David Coulthard, you can see the gap there now as he turns into turn 3 between him and the Scarlet Ferrari of Rubens Barrichello, with Michael Schumacher starting to close on both of them. It could be and probably will be a cliffhanger finish.
Barrichello gets a sniff of Coulthard out of 1 towards turn 2. He's much quicker under braking for whatever reason, is the Ferrari on the McLaren. But Coulthard having a nightmare afternoon in traffic, always losing out, excepting when it really mattered. Remember, those stunning 1:10.8, 1:10.9 laps he put in to launch himself ahead of Barrichello. And on Barrichello's lap, as Coulthard made his pit stop, Barrichello had 2 or 3 cars to pass, and it gave Coulthard this comfort zone. But the rest of the afternoon, he's always seemed to lose out, just catching the traffic at the wrong time. But when they're in clear air, he's still got a fraction of a second advantage over Rubens. And Michael Schumacher just now 2.2 seconds down the road.
Yeah, I've said this so many times before, but I'll say it again. Catching is one thing, passing another. And Rubens Barrichello is only just inching up on the McLaren. And David Coulthard, who's a very wily campaigner, he's driven in a heck of a lot of Grand Prix in his time. And he can make that car in his 113th Grand Prix with all his experience and determination, knowing that if he can finish first, he's going to have 4 more World Championship points than finishing second. Can make that car very wide and make it very difficult for Barrichello to pass him, in which case Barrichello could then have Michael Schumacher in his wheel track. So it's Ferrari second, Ferrari third, McLaren leading. Magnificent drive. Poor Mika Häkkinen must be sitting in the garage now, looking gloomily at the monitor and thinking that could have been me. But he has had his day. World champion in 1998, world champion in 1999, and David Coulthard has deferred to him not only in the championship but in the races many times in the past. He richly deserves to do well, and my goodness, isn't he doing well? 7th on the grid, first in the race.
That's what I mean about turn 2. Look how late Barrichello is on the brakes. I wouldn't really want to swap places with Coulthard right now. This is massive, massive pressure. The whole of the corporate world of McLaren and Mercedes-Benz and a couple of $100 million worth of annual budget sitting on his shoulders. He's got to drive it on the ragged edge. One slip and he'll look silly. If he cruises too much, he's going to be eaten alive by the 2 prancing horses that are menacingly galloping along behind him. Can Coulthard keep his head under pressure? He has done before. Can he continue to do it for the final 8 laps of this race? And then will Ferrari, if Barrichello can't have a go at Coulthard, will Ferrari make him yield and give an extra 2 points to Michael Schumacher?
P2 to Barrichello, and that is his board now. But let us not forget Michael Schumacher. 3rd position, and on the previous lap he was half a second faster than either David Coulthard or Rubens Barrichello. He still is inching up. The gap between himself and David Coulthard is 1.5 seconds on lap 64 out of 71 on this very slippery track. Out of the race goes Jenson Button in the Benetton. Up come the fire marshals with flames licking out of the exhaust outlets. They need to get the fire extinguisher on that very rapidly indeed before it takes hold, although it may be just an oil fire.
I heard barbecue sales have been very strong in the UK over this lovely sunny weekend, and Jenson decided to join in with you.
From 12th position, only 11 left now. Heidfeld is left, he's 11th, he's been lapped twice. Bertie is 10th in the Prost, he has been lapped twice. Lacey is 9th, both the Prosts are still running, he's been lapped twice. Jacques Villeneuve is 8th and has been lapped. Irvine is 7th and has been lapped. Jos Verstappen is 6th and has been lapped. Only 5 cars are on the same lap, which is lap 64, and 3 of them are virtually together. This is the replay of the engine locking up and spinning Jenson Button out of the race, engulfed in flames at the back. They die down pretty quickly. He's out of the car, he's okay.
Engine seized, there may be some oil, and that is Luciano Berti then spinning himself out in turn 1. That is not where Button went off. I'm wondering if there's any oil where Button went off.
To let Heidfeld through, and they were on the same lap. So the Saubers are now 10th position for Nick Heidfeld and 4th position for the magnificent Kimi Raikkonen, as Michael Schumacher is now bearing down Joe Ramirez on the left. The veteran man at McLaren is one of the top people in Formula One, absolutely enthralled with how his man is doing. His man being David Coulthard, lap 65, and the Scot from Twynham with the Salter proudly on his helmet. I cannot find the words to say what a superb job David has done and is doing to resist the pressure now. But now we're getting to the crunch point. Is Rubens Barrichello going to move over and let Michael Schumacher take up the attack? Because Schumacher is lapping faster than Rubens Barrichello, only a 1/10 of a second or so, but every 10th counts. Turn 1, Coulthard, turn 1, Barrichello, turn 1. That's how close it is. Michael Schumacher.
Isn't it amazing? 3 different drivers, 2 teams, a totally different philosophy, different engines. The whole ethos of Formula One is you must create your own car, and that's why they're so different despite very tight regulations. And yet still 66 laps into the race, we've got 2.8 seconds between the 3 cars. They are so close, so evenly matched.
Yeah, and how McLaren have closed up on Ferrari. James Allen.
Ferrari technical director Ross Brawn sitting on the pit wall. He has a button for each radio either side of his belt. He pushes the button, he speaks to both drivers, he's been talking to both of them constantly, but Barrichello must be dreading the push on his button, which is going to tell him to move over out of the way. They've done it before here. They did it with Irvine 2 years ago, as I recall, just to get an extra couple of points for Michael Schumacher. There can be no doubt they're going to do it today.
Not half as much as Button and his button, because he was out of that car like a jackrabbit when he saw that the back of it had caught fire. Rightly so. Luciano Berti is being caught to be lapped by Raikkonen. Raikkonen in 4th place, another sterling performance. Luciano Berti down in 11th position. and the fin goes through. The Brazilian driver moves over, and Rubens Barrichello just puts his left rear off the track onto the grass, raises a puff of dust. He may have lost just 100th or 1/10 of a second. That will help Michael Schumacher. There he is, turn 2, 40 miles an hour. Down goes his foot. On comes the traction control, limiting the revs that get through to the rear wheel as much as is necessary. And look how close it is now between second and third. 2 Ferraris together. I say again, 10 World Championship points for the Ferrari team, 10 World Championship points for the McLaren team if they stay where they are. This is lap 67, 68, 69, 70 and 71 to go. Very little time left. I think David Coulthard can do it.
Just a couple of tenths on this lap. Obviously had a bit of a difficult corner somewhere in the middle sector, what is a very, very short lap, of course. So Coulthard 1.6 second lead last time around. It's clearly significantly less this time, down to 1.1. So Coulthard having a bit of a scruffy lap, a very, very poor final sector. And Coulthard, once again, Murray, back under pressure.
Yeah, back under pressure, but he is the man to resist it. He knows that that clear track ahead of him means that he can choose his line. He's not got any problems in closing up on people at the present moment. If he can keep it cool, stay on the racing line. The speed differential between the McLaren and the Ferrari is not enough.
Maybe we're going to see why it was a scruffy lap, although I think this is up into turn 1. And it was in the middle sector he lost it, but I think it's just one of those slow-mo replay jobbies they like to give us to just check we're on our toes, Murray. But Coulthard again then slower in the first sector of this lap. We'll be getting the second sector up on our computers anytime soon. Doesn't look too bad for him, does it?
No, but both Rubens Barrichello and Michael Schumacher have gone faster in that sector by 2/10 of a second than David did. You can see now, you can see the amount of tarmac between the McLaren there and the 2 Ferraris behind him is diminishing. But that's another lap that David has completed, another lap that he has not got to do. He's on lap 69 now. He's only got this one and the 2 others after it to complete the lap. Now, have we got a new fastest lap again? No, it's still David Coulthard, 1 minute 10.8. 1.8 seconds only separates the top 3. Raikkonen is 38 seconds behind the leaders 4th. Panis is 47 seconds behind the leaders 5th in the BAR. Jos Verstappen has got Eddie Irvine catching him. There's only 5.2 seconds in it, and Eddie Irvine is doing it at the rate of half a second a lap. It's not enough. It looks as though Arrows are going to get that World Championship point for 6th place, and that Jaguar are not. They both deserve it. Only one of them can get it. Wow, lap 69. So, out of the Niki Lauda curve into the Gerhard Berger curve.
Coulthard responds, the fastest man of anybody on any of the previous 68 laps through the middle sector of the lap. Coulthard knows he had a couple of untidy ones, put himself back under pressure, and he's responded and said, OK, catch me if you can.
Well, 28 World Championship points for David Coulthard. Will become 38 if he wins this race. 36 points for Schumacher will become 40.
Talk about head-to-head. Look at this, 111.00, 111.099 for Barrichello and 111.030 for Michael Schumacher. There was a total of 0.06 of a second between all 3 of their last laps. So really, Coulthard just cannot break away from this pressure.
No, he can't break away, but he's on lap 70 now. If he can just hang on, he's only got 2.7 miles to go at the end of this lap to give him an absolutely brilliant victory. It would be the 11th of his career and certainly one of the most richly deserved. Well, Ferrari don't look too confident as out of the Niki Lauda curve into the Gerhard Berger curve up to turn 7 in this 9-turn course goes David Coulthard over the crest. And just look, Michael Schumacher is with Barrichello. Unless one of them goes off, I cannot see there being a change on this last lap. I've said that sort of thing before, only for it to change dramatically. They are now on their 71st and last laps. Turn 1, 8 turns to go. Climb, climb, climb. 7th gear, 185 miles an hour. Brake hard, down to 2nd gear, 40 miles an hour. coming up to turn 2. This is it. 7 corners to go for David Coulthard.
Will Rubens Barrichello be told, and will he do as he's told? More importantly, and is that a cruising Barrichello? No, it isn't. He's just taking a slightly different line. Surely before the end of the lap, he will have to let Michael Schumacher go past. I believe he will get that call, as does, I know, James down in the pit lane, but Coulthard then appears to have the fresh air between himself and the 2 Ferraris that he needs. Barrichello's going to make Michael wait until the absolute last moment if he's going to do it at all.
And there are just 2 corners left in the Austrian Grand Prix of 2001 for David Coulthard now, as he sweeps out of the right-hander down to the last corner of the circuit and the race, and David Coulthard wins, and Michael Schumacher is second. Wow, there is team orders. Michael Schumacher gets 6 World Championship points. David Coulthard gets 10, and a bitterly, bitterly unhappy Rubens Barrichello defers at the last moment. He will not be at all happy about that. But remember when David deferred to Mika Häkkinen as they approached the line in the Australian Grand Prix? Well, that's motor racing.
One of Coulthard's great wins from 7th place on the grid. I don't know what the opposite of brain fade is, but surely Coulthard was the master this afternoon, and really a stunning drive from him. Did what he had to do when he had to do it, kept his head under supreme pressure. Barrichello will be on the podium with a face like a wet Monday morning, and deservedly so. I think with a little bit more luck in the traffic, he could have won this race. And there is the synchronised swimming act of Ferrari as Michael crosses the line a half a car ahead of a inevitably disgruntled Rubens Barrichello, who made him work for it, look, didn't he, right to the last few metres.
Absolutely. Well, there's nothing new about it. I remember when Senna in Canada moved across at the last moment rather grumpily on orders from Ron Dennis to let Gerhard Berger win the race. And this is a team sport, I keep reminding people, and the team knows that Michael Schumacher has got a better chance of winning the World Championship for drivers than Rubens Barrichello has, because Michael Schumacher had 36 points when this race began. Rubens Barrichello was 22 behind him, and James Allen is in the pits.
Martin Brundle just described that little switch as synchronised swimming. It had to be done though, Ross.
Well, we got a championship, and we were hoping Rubens could have a go at him, but it just wasn't quite there. And obviously the starts were our main problem. It was a good race, but not the way we wanted it.
It was a very good race, and for once, McLaren, not for once, they've done it a few times, Stu, they actually did you on the strategy in a way, didn't they? The pit stops, they ran it, they got the lead, and they managed to keep it.
Well, it wasn't a voluntary choice. I mean, obviously everyone's running to maximum capacity, and I think coming with McLaren, that was as far as we could go, so there was nothing much else to do. And Montoya obviously screwed Michael's race, so we wouldn't have been in that position, but it's a motor racing. Road racing, so we'll recover.
Thanks very much, Ross.
Well, Michael Schumacher started this race 8 points ahead of David Coulthard. He is now 4 points ahead of David Coulthard as a result of that superlative drive by the Scotsman and Rubens Barrichello deferring on team orders to Michael Schumacher. You've heard Ross Brawn say why. Barrichello is still in 3rd position and Ralf Schumacher is still 4th. Nick Heidfeld is still in 5th position and Jarno Trulli is still 6th, but really that's of academic interest. From now on, it looks as though the 2001 World Championship, as we go to Monaco in 2 weeks' time for the 7th out of 17 races, is going to be down between Michael Schumacher and David Coulthard.
Driver of the day, David Coulthard, that's part A. Part B, driver of the day, Kimi Räikkönen, just 40 seconds behind the leaders in his Sauber Petronas, with of course the customer Ferrari engine in at 4th place there, as I said. So Räikkönen, a stunning day, and well, they don't look such bad friends after all, do they? Coulthard and Eddie Irvine, and Villeneuve coming, another good mate of David's, and coming in, everybody wants to shake his hand.
Yeah, that's the 5th World Championship points for the Sauber team this year. And I bitterly regret some of the things I said about the team and them not expecting them to do well this year before the season began. Well, Rubens Barrichello, you can look at his eyes. You know, he's not happy. He's not happy at all. Why should he be? Why should he be? He drove a terrific race. He was ahead of Michael Schumacher. Joe Ramirez taps him on the shoulder. Jean Todt has a word with him. What do you think the word was?
Maybe the check should be bigger next time, Rubens.
Yes. Well, I don't think Rubens, like a lot of people, is interested in money, but he's interested in prestige. He got ahead of Michael Schumacher. He was staying ahead of Michael Schumacher. But I say again, and you heard what Ross Brawn had to say, there is a world championship involved, and Michael Schumacher is more likely to win it than Barrichello is. It matters to Ferrari, it matters to Maranello, it matters to Fiat, of course, who are the money behind Ferrari. So it is understandable, even if it is very bad news for Rubens Barrichello. But wonderful, wonderful news for David Coulthard, his 11th victory. Terrible news for Mika Häkkinen. Olivier Panis finished in 5th position and has again beaten his teammate Jacques Villeneuve, and it was a very close thing in the World Championship for them, because Panis was in 11th place and Villeneuve was in 9th position, and Panis should have actually moved ahead of him. In the Constructors' Championship, there is now 18 points between Ferrari and McLaren, as there was when this race began. Williams, of course, have scored no points. Jordan has scored no points. Sauber, in scoring, are close right up to Jordan, just 1 point ahead. Well done, David Coulthard, up onto the podium. His 11th win, a great race for a great Scottish gentleman. And the British national anthem for David Coulthard, and of course for the McLaren team. Now the end of a great race, which was won by a Mercedes-Benz engine, and a very serious word here. The Mercedes-Benz engine is made by the Ilmor concern in Britain at Brixworth, and sadly Paul Morgan, the MOR part of Ilmor, with his partner Mario Ilian, was killed in an air crash yesterday, and Formula One grieves for him, and our hearts go out to everybody who knew and was involved with Paul and his family.
Just to clarify something you said, Murray, he was not with Mario yesterday when he was killed. Mario has flown back to the UK, but sadly, as you say, Paul Morgan died. Michael Schumacher then 2nd place.
And Rubens Barrichello in 3rd position. He has the trophy to take home. Another 4 World Championship points for the Brazilian. But it was David Coulthard's day, it was McLaren's day, it was certainly not Mika Häkkinen's day. The champagne is a bit looping, frankly. But victory for David Coulthard ahead of Michael Schumacher and Rubens Barrichello at the end of a really inspiring Austrian Grand Prix.
And of course, David Coulthard abstaining from that procedure in respect for Paul Morgan.
So in 2 weeks' time, it is the Monaco Grand Prix. But here in Austria, you can see the triumphant trio there on the podium.
Very thanks to Martin. He was certainly due. David Coulthard, a winner in Austria at last. His brain in gear throughout a superb race. We'll hear from David in a few minutes' time, from Michael Schumacher and from Rubens Barrichello too. Absolutely delighted. Alexander Wurz is going to join us in the studio. There's our competition result, and Ross Kemp as the Jordan mechanic.
1 uur 27 minuten en een beetje had hij ervoor nodig. Tweede zege dit seizoen voor Coulthard. Coulthard die in 6 races tot nu toe punten heeft gescoord, in alle 6 dus. Adrian Newey, die eventjes een klein beetje voor spion speelt. En een blik werpt op de Ferrari van Michael Schumacher. Hij is de ontwerper van de McLaren MP416 waar David Coulthard mee rijdt. Goed, we wachten dus op de persconferentie. Hier nog een keertje de uitslag voor u op kaart. Geen Michelin-rijders in de punten. Eddie Irvine was de beste op de 7e plaats. Coulthard voor Schumacher, Barrichello, Räikkönen met zijn beste prestatie tot nu toe in de Formule 1. Panis toch weer 2 puntjes. Jos Verstappen zijn eerste punt van dit seizoen. Irvine net buiten de punten. Maar toch ook een mooi resultaat voor Eddie Irvine. Zijn beste prestatie dit seizoen. Villeneuve kan niet altijd feest zijn. 2 weken geleden derde, nu 8e. De man die als enige op de tweede kaart staat in zijn eentje is Luciano Burti. Hij werd dus 11e. Hij rijdt tegenwoordig voor het team van Prost.
Congratulations, gentlemen. First, second and third in the Austrian Grand Prix. David Coulthard, the winner. Michael Schumacher in second. And Rubens Barrichello in third place. David, Mika Häkkinen said earlier today that it's a very sad weekend for McLaren. But at the end of it, you brought at least some cheer to the team.
Yeah, and that's just to explain why I wasn't spraying the champagne. For those at home who don't realise, we lost a very important member of the team, Paul Morgan, this weekend. And winning this Grand Prix, I think, is a big boost for everyone in the team.
Now, looking at the way the race ran, you ran an incredibly long first stint, longer than anyone else, and then you emerged in the lead. Was that the tactic from fairly early on in the proceedings?
Yeah, from where I was in the grid, obviously having qualified 7th, it was important to start heavy and just to have the options open depending on how the race went. I was able to lean the engine out early on after the first few laps and save quite a few laps of fuel, as well as obviously with the safety car, and that enabled us to go quite long.
David, thank you very much. Michael, you didn't have the dream start to the race. From pole position, you were led away by both Williamses. Can you put your finger on why you dropped back?
Not really. We had some kind of problem. Certainly the car didn't start in the way it was supposed to start, and basically I did a manual start afterwards because there is some kind of problems, but I'm sure we will find out. And it's, you know, all these systems are still very new, and like we have seen with David, something happened to him in Barcelona with these systems. Now it happened to me, and I guess a few other people will still get surprises until everything is really reliable.
Having worked your way up to second place after your brother retired, there was then the moment with Juan Pablo Montoya that took both of you off the circuit. Could you talk us through that move?
I was a little bit upset, obviously, because there was no way he could make that corner, and all he was trying to do is to take me with him out of the circuit. And I mean, he was lost anyway, and to do something to me, then I thought it wasn't really what he should have done, because I had to go into the grass. I couldn't turn in. I nearly hit him. So it wasn't ideal, but that's the way it had gone, and I'm sure be sure I will have a word with him. But that meant that I was, I think, in 6th or 7th position, and I had to work my way through the traffic, which wasn't easy because the Michelin drivers had problems with their tires. So it would have been normally sooner or later I would have passed Juan Pablo, but the other guys were on Bridgestones, and that was much more difficult. I had to wait until they did a few mistakes, and then I took my chance to Panis and to Räikkönen, which both behaved very accurate, and that allowed me to come back into the race and pick up to the 2 guys in front.
Michael, thank you very much. Rubens, you were second until the last corner, and then you pulled over to let Michael through. Why was that?
The team has asked me to do that.
You're very unhappy about that?
No, I'm unhappy about the situation. I was winning almost the whole Grand Prix, and then of course David went longer, and I lost the race basically like that. That's why I'm feeling unhappy.
Thank you, Rubens. David, back to you. The deficit was 8 points to Michael before the start of the race. Now it's halved to 4 points going to Monaco. What do you think about the rest of the season?
Excuse me. Well, I think, as you can see, the Grand Prix are going to be very close, not only between ourselves and Ferrari, but Williams as well. So it really is going to come down to who gets their car and the tyre working well in Monaco.
but it's a circuit I enjoy. I've gone well there in the past, so you know, there's everything to play for.
David, thank you very much. Now, Michael and Rubens, first with Michael in your own languages, please.
Ja, wat ingetogen persconferentie. Dat heeft natuurlijk alles te maken met de dood van Paul Morgan van Ilmor. Dat de motoren bouwt voor het team van McLaren. Vandaar dat David Coulthard ook niet met de champagne spoot op het podium. Bewust gekozen om met veel benzine aan boord weg te rijden en dan zo lang mogelijk door te gaan. Nou, die strategie werkte natuurlijk wel, geholpen door wat andere momenten in de race. Bijvoorbeeld dat moment van Michael Schumacher en Montoya. Michael Schumacher was er niet echt blij mee. Hij zegt, dat was geen enkele manier waarop Montoya die bocht nog kon halen. En nam mij bewust mee naar de buitenkant. Ik kon niet meer insturen. Ik zal er nog wel eens even met hem over gaan praten. Want ja, het was eigenlijk een weinig zinloze actie van Juan Pablo Montoya. Goed, en daarna moest hij een inhaalrace rijden. En uiteindelijk werd hij toch nog tweede. Omdat Rubens Barrichello zo vriendelijk was om hem te passeren. Start van Schumacher was slecht. Launch control werkte niet. Hij schakelde over op manual. Ja, dat kostte dus wat tijd waardoor hij slecht weg was. Rubens Barrichello had even uitzicht op de race. Maar toen hij in de gaten kreeg dat David Coulthard langer door kon gaan, meer benzine aan boord had, besefte hij dat hij de race niet kon gaan winnen. En toen kreeg hij dus de opdracht van het team om Michael Schumacher te laten passeren. Nou, daar had hij geen moeite mee. Wel met het feit dat hij eigenlijk de race misschien wel had kunnen winnen. Maar toch nog verloor van de slimme heren van McLaren. Maar toch nog iets te lachen viel. Hoewel het is een zwaar weekend voor McLaren door het verlies dus van Paul Morgan. Verschil tussen de mannen vooraan. Schumacher en Coulthard teruggebracht naar 4 punten. Het was 8 punten voor de race in het voordeel van Michael Schumacher. En over 2 weken verhuizen we dus naar Monaco met het circus. En dat is een race waar Coulthard altijd goed rijdt. Dus je ziet het verloop van het kampioenschap met vertrouwen tegemoet. Maar realiseert zich natuurlijk ook wel dat hij in Michael Schumacher, Rubens Barrichello, maar ook in de heren van Williams toch nog wel voorname concurrenten heeft voor het wereldkampioenschap. En de overwinningen die nog te vergeven zijn. Nogmaals de uitslag van de grote prijs van Oostenrijk. Een overwinning voor David Coulthard. 2 weken geleden zat het McLaren tegen. Toen Hakkinen 5 bochten voor het einde stilviel. Vandaag zat het Coulthard namens McLaren mee. Schumacher slechts tweede. Man van pole position. Speelt dus 4 kostbare punten. Rubens Barrichello derde, liet Schumacher voorgaan. Räikkönen keurige 4e plaats. Zijn totaal is nu 4. Zijn beste prestatie tot nu toe in de Formule 1. Het is pas een 6e race. Panis weer netjes in de top 6 op de 5e plaats. En Jos Verstappen, ook hij dus eindelijk een WK-punt in de 6e race van dit seizoen. Een hele goede race van de Nederlander. Dat waren de 6 coureurs die in de punten eindigden op de A1-ring in Spielberg. Heel rijtje uitvallers. Met natuurlijk ook Mika Hakkinen daarbij. Maar ook de beide mannen van Jordan. En natuurlijk ook Juan Pablo Montoya en Ralf Schumacher. Teamgenoot van Jos Verstappen staat er ook bij. Enrique Bernoldi. Alonso met de Minardi kwam ook niet aan de finish. Hetzelfde geldt voor Button, De La Rosa met de Jaguar ook niet. En Tasso Marquez haalde evenmin de finish met de Minardi. En Frenze, ja, voor de tweede achtereenvolgende maal kwam hij niet van de startopstelling weg. Het is zuur voor de Duitser, maar het is niet anders. Hij is nog geen fan van traction control en launch control. Die elektronische hulpmiddelen die de rijders tegenwoordig tot hun beschikking hebben. Het publiek heeft bezit genomen van de A1-ring. Dus de temperatuur nog steeds lekker is, 20 graden. En traditiegetrouw kijken wij natuurlijk even terug op de race met de hoogtepunten. Maar eerst nog even een kijkje achter de schermen bij McLaren. Waar met gepast enthousiasme op de zege wordt gereageerd. Maar nogmaals, dat heeft dus te maken met het overlijden, het verongelukken van Paul Morgan. Een van de drijvende krachten achter Ilmor dat de motoren bouwt voor McLaren. Goed, een blauwe lucht. Greg Pollock en Olivier Panis. Pollock praat Panis moed in. Ralf Schumacher ziet het op dat moment nog wel zitten. Natuurlijk, hij staat op de tweede startrij, op de 3e plaats. Het zangkoor paraat. Lauda heeft er zin in. Moedigt Schumacher aan. En dan die start. Schumacher is heel slecht weg. Dan blijven de 4 man maar liefst staan. En kijk eens hoe Verstappen slalomt naar de voorste regio. Een hele goede start van de Nederlander. Dan hebben de twee mannen van Williams dus de leiding te pakken. En dan is er op dat moment nog alle reden om te juichen bij het team van Williams. Niet bij Jordan, dat 2 man al kwijt is. Ook Hakkinen blijft staan en hetzelfde geldt voor de heer Eitveld van Sauber. Frenze komt niet meer weg. Trulli probeert het nog wel, maar krijgt later de zwarte vlag als hij hier eerst nog even een uitstapje heeft gemaakt. En Montoya voor Ralf Schumacher, Michael Schumacher, Barrichello en Jos Verstappen aan de leiding. Dan een actie van Villeneuve die in de ronde graag bij het inhalen van Eddie Irvine. En dan een paar plaatsen verliest. Afscheid van Ralf Schumacher. Problemen met de remmen, durfde niet meer door te rijden. Kijk, daar zijn die remmen waar het grondig mis mee was. Trulli, de zwarte vlag. Dat gebeurt ook niet vaak in de Formule 1. En baalt als een stekker. Dan Montoya, ja, met een beslissende actie in de race. Mist het trendpunt van de bocht, had problemen met zijn banden. Dan glijdt Schumacher dus ook naar buiten toe. Kostbare positiesverlies voor Michael Schumacher. Benoldi houdt ermee op. En dan Juan Pablo Montoya als de volgende uitvaller. Hakkinen wordt getroost door Ron Dennis. En dan Coulthard die daar ontsnapt. Räikkönen krijgt een bedankje van Michael Schumacher. Barrichello had nog even uitzichten dus op de overwinning. Hier het definitieve afscheid van Montoya dat zich net al aankondigde. Zwaait er nog wel even naar het publiek. En dan de pitstop van Michael Schumacher. Komt als eerste binnen. Even later Robert Barrichello. Daar is hij al. De Coulthard gaat dan een paar ronden langer door. Nou, dat maakt net het verschil. Hij heeft inmiddels dan voldoende voorsprong opgebouwd om net voor de 2 Ferraris weer op de baan te komen. Daar komt Coulthard en daar komt Barrichello. Die nog wel aandringt, maar niet meer in staat is om de schot in te halen. En zo brengt deze David Coulthard de zege naar huis toe. En bijt Ferrari in het stof. Hier kijken we nog even naar het afscheid van Jensen Button. Met een hoop vuur. Daar Luciano Burti in de ronde. Nog even een mooie spin maken. Kan wel verder en wordt uiteindelijk 11e. En dan de opdracht voor Barrichello. Laat Schumacher passeren. Dat gebeurt. Maar niet nadat David Coulthard als eerste over de finish is gekomen. En dat levert in ieder geval Schumacher 2 extra punten op. Räikkönen wordt 4e. Dus is er ook feest bij Sauber. Schumacher feliciteert dan op de achtergrond Jos Verstappen die beslag legt op de 6e plaats. En Tot zegt dankjewel tegen Barrichello. Goed geluisterd, jongen. Coulthard juicht. Het volkslied is voor hem. En daarna spuit hij niet met de champagne. Want ja, Paul Morgan is niet meer onder ons. Een van de mensen dus van Ilmore. Hij laat het over aan Rubens Barrichello en Michael Schumacher. En beperkt tot een bescheiden applausje. Goed, het was een tumultueuze grote prijs van Oostenrijk. Fans die nog even het asfalt kussen. Zo vaak kom je niet op die plek. Goed. Voor het wereldkampioenschap was dit een uitermate ideale race. Coulthard heeft zijn verschil teruggebracht naar 4 punten. 42 om 38. Barrichello is iets uitgelopen op Ralf Schumacher. En verheugend is in ieder geval dat Jos Verstappen nu ook 1 WK-punt heeft. Dus nog volop spanning in het wereldkampioenschap. Volgende afspraak die wij met elkaar hebben is over 2 weken. En dan zijn we in Monaco. Waar veel boten in de haven liggen, de vrouwen mooi zijn en het ook altijd zonnig is. Nou, had slechtere plekken kunnen bedenken. Tot dan.
Welcome back to the A1 ring. David Coulthard has kept up his charge to become champion of the world with a brilliant victory here in Austria. Let's just confirm the top 6 for you. David Coulthard, 10 points for him. Michael Schumacher just nipping past Rubens Barrichello in the last 30 metres or so. Second and third, the Ferraris. Kimi Räikkönen, rookie of the year beyond any doubt, scoring more points for Sauber. Olivier Panis registering 2 more for the British-American racing team. And Jos Verstappen, the Dutchman, making his point for the Arrows. And this is how the championship looks after 6 rounds. Just 4 points separate Michael Schumacher from David Coulthard. So consistent all season. Rubens Barrichello in 3rd place, Ralf Schumacher 4th, then Heidfeld and Jarno Trulli. Absolutely delighted to Alexander Wurz, native Austrian, McLaren test driver, is joining us. You must be very, very pleased the way things have gone for your team today.
Oh yes, it was a fabulous race win. I must say, even in Barcelona already we had a really good strategy, but also today it worked brilliant for David. The team did a great job, and I really want to congratulate all the team, but especially also the people back in Woking, because they are preparing the base for us, and we are scoring wins. That's great.
We're going to look back at some of the key moments of this race in a few minutes' time, but let's get straight to the press conference. It's going to be really interesting to hear from the top 3 drivers. Here they go.
David, Mick.
I'm feeling happy.
Thank you, Rubens.
Here we are, McLaren team boss Ron Dennis is now waiting to have a word with us. Good afternoon, Ron, and many congratulations on David's success today. You must be pleased with that on I know what is a very bitter, sweet weekend for you all down there.
I can hear nothing.
Oh, Ron, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now, Ron? Is Jim Rosenthal in the studio?
Hello, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, we've got 1 or 2 problems getting through to Ron Dennis. I'm sure we'll sort that out very shortly for you. I don't think we're going to have too many problems, Tony, just having a look at the start of this race. I'm sure Ron Dennis won't be too happy to see it again, because Mika Häkkinen, one of 4 drivers left stranded.
I mean, you look at it from the aerial view there, massive blockade, because at 5th place, truly, towards the front of the grid. Then you had Heidfeld, then you had Häkkinen behind him. Look at it from the rear view as well. Everybody did brilliantly to avoid those massive concrete chicanes just sitting there like that. And it just goes to show, you know, the gizmos not working, the frailties we've been talking about in the electronic systems, left people just sitting there. And Michael's just revealed that he had to go for a normal start. He couldn't use his launch control.
How much harder is it, Alex, for you to start the car with launch control?
When it works, it's not hard at all, because you just take the finger off. But it's a bit hard for the driver's mind, because you have to rely 100% on the system. But we see, I mean, here the pictures are, everything went fine here, but it was quite close. As you say, everyone reacted quite quick, the marshals with the yellow flags. Here you see it works brilliant on Ralph's car, on the Williams. Both Williams go away. But it's not easy, and as Michael said, it needs a lot of time to work on this system.
Sure, we've re-established contact with your boss, Ron Dennis, down there. Ron, welcome to the show. I know it's I was saying, a very bitter, sweet weekend for you, this.
Yeah, weekend of mixed emotions, really. Obviously, there's nothing that you can really say when you lose an important member of the team. But more than his membership of the team is his friendship. You know, we're a very close-knit team. People think we're grey, but in reality we're a very human organisation that really cares a lot about all of the people that contribute. And of course, Paul Morgan was a leading member, one of the 2 people who run and function Ilmore, and he's going to be badly missed.
David Coulthard has already paid tribute to him in the press conference. Of course, all our sympathies go to Paul Morgan's family and friends. But to move to the race, Ron, which I would like to talk to you about. We're talking to Alexander Wurz here about the start and about what happened to Mika Häkkinen there. What are your views on that?
Well, I think you managed to get me into trouble last time, actually. But so I'm not going to jump into saying what we think it is at the moment. We don't have absolute certainty as to the cause. But clearly it was associated with the launch control system, and we're not absolutely certain whether it was the system or the driver at the moment. But one thing we will do is we'll let everybody know as and when we know, and that requires a very careful study of the data.
Okay, I won't pick your brain any further on that one then. But what about the way David Coulthard drove to victory here for your team? I mean, terrific concentration on, particularly in those last dozen laps or so.
Indeed, you know, we obviously had a pretty poor grid position, and that meant we had to really go as long as possible. When we were stuck in the traffic, we conserved some very valuable fuel that allowed us to push very hard in the 3 or 4 laps that separated Ruben's pit stop from David's. Enabled obviously him to take the lead, and then he really did a great job at pacing himself to stay in the lead. Of course, it's actually the most difficult place to be in a race, is in the lead. It's the area where you can definitely make mistakes, but it was a faultless drive.
He always looks very comfy when he's out there in front. And Mika Häkkinen, when we spoke to him about his World Championship chances, said very honestly, it doesn't look too good, does it? Are you getting to the stage where you're going to put all your eggs into the David Coulthard basket?
No, because we're in the business of winning races, and you know, we're very fair with the guys. We've always made it quite clear that we come to Grand Prix, we try to win, and it's only when it's mathematically impossible or realistic evaluation of the numbers tell you that it's unlikely, and in that situation we step in, because we're here to win races and the World Championship. But it's a little early, and of course the circumstances that we have in our team is we can in fact give team instructions at any stage, even the first Grand Prix, but you know, that takes away the spirit of the drivers' commitment. You know, they want to win, and it's not right for us to intercede in that process unless the circumstances require it, and we're just not in that area yet.
But you would agree there's a realistic chance of David Coulthard becoming a British world champion this season?
Oh, of course. I mean, he's there and he's well in position, but more importantly, it's his attitude, his frame of mind, and his determination at the moment. He's matured over the last few months, and he's a lot better for many things that have happened in his life. He's really very, very committed to winning, and as is, of course, Mika, but right now, obviously, the points are with David, and he knows that, as always, you know, we're giving the best equipment we can, and we'll just have to see the result.
I've got just one final point for you, Ron. If you had been making the call coming round that last bend, would you have ordered Rubens Barrichello to pull over and let Michael Schumacher through?
Well, most definitely not. Not in the period of the year in which we're at, and but I think their faces said it all. They weren't too particularly happy chappies on the podium, so there was definitely some disagreement there, and one can only presume the reason why.
We appreciate you joining us as always, Ron. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
Okay, there we are. We've got a lot to talk about with Alex and with Tony. We've got our competition and a bit of Ross Kemp with Jordan as well. We will be right back. Beautiful evening still in the Styrian Mountains in southern Austria. David Coulthard has scored a very big victory here for McLaren. Tony Jardine, it looked as though Ralf Schumacher was going to be in with a great shout after his terrific start, but unfortunately the Williams gave out.
It did, unfortunately, but I think now he's moved on to the Austrian patch with Mr. Wirtz and co. The air must be getting to him. I mean, he's driving superbly, but this is most unfortunate. I can't help feeling that a lot of the electronics, a lot of the pressure, a lot of the heat and the vibration is getting to the rear end of these cars as well. I know there's a lot of investigations underway by major manufacturers of what things. We saw Barrichello lose rear suspension, possibly through heat, we don't know. We won't know what's happened there yet, but it's a shame for us. Fantastic start when you saw that before, when he jinked past his brother. It was incredible reactions.
Juan Pablo Montoya had a real fight with the Ferraris, didn't he? Held the two Ferraris back, Barrichello and Schumacher, and it looked good for him for a while in that battle.
Yeah, it looked really good. He struggled with the grip. You can see he's sliding all over the place. And he took the inside line. You see them fighting now, three cars, very exciting next to each other. And down the straights, he's obviously pretty quick and keeps them behind for a few laps. But then I think Michael went with very hard pressure, but they both did a race mistake and both went out of the race and lost it.
That's what we're going to have. He's holding them back, but the tyres are giving out him a little bit, aren't they? And then when it happened, and when Michael Schumacher made his move, we heard Michael in the press conference. He's going to have a word with him, which means he's not chuffed by it. But Montoya doesn't mind about anything, does he?
No, he doesn't. This is a great thing. This is why Montoya is so exciting. Just look at this. You see, Michael's clearly got past him. I'm not having that. And he really comes back off the brakes that little bit longer because he's a racer. That's all he can think about. That's what he's learned right from a little boy when he's karting. You look at it again here, and he's managed to hold them all up like Gilles Villeneuve did in '81 in Spain, keep them all behind, forcing Michael to go round the outside, and then just stopping him innocently there. I'd love to be a fly on the wall when they do have this chat.
Alex, I mean, you had a similar scrap, didn't you, with Michael Schumacher? I remember it in Monte Carlo a couple of years back. I mean, is that a problem when one of you takes him on? Does he come and claim you after? What are you doing?
Oh, after this race I had with him in Monaco, you know, we both lost the race. I lost second position at the race, and he lost important points. But here, I would say it was a racing accident. If Michael doesn't agree what Montoya did, he should have just braked a bit earlier, because he said there was no way that he makes the corner. But I see there also was no way that Michael made the corner at this breaking point. So I would just put it down as a racing accident and put it down to experience.
You join us here more often, by the way, but that's excellent. Juan Pablo Montoya sadly followed teammate Ralf Schumacher out of the race prematurely.
Yeah, it's a great shame for him, and a great shame for Michelin, because Michelin have done a lot of work here with the development car last year, so they knew a lot about the track, and they've really stirred it up, as have BMW. BMW did a lot of work on the electronics of the car at Valencia. They've done a lot of more work on the aerodynamics, and this guy now, his best grid position since coming into Grand Prix racing, he's learning about qualifying as well. We know he's a great racer, but he's learning about qualifying too.
Do you find it strange that Michael Schumacher has never got to grips with this A1 ring? It's the only current circuit he's never won on.
Yeah, you know, when you start to talk about it, then it's even harder to win. And maybe ask him all the time, so he won't win in the next year as well. But it comes as it comes, you know, and I think today he was a bit unlucky with his start. He told us that he had problems with the launch control, and you never know. But seeing here these pictures, you know, he was racing absolutely on the limit. Seemed that his car didn't have the grip as, for example, David had through the race. So they are also on the limit.
It all came down to the limit in David Coulthard's pit stop, didn't it?
Yeah, it's nice to hear, because you can pick up a bit from Dave what he said in the conference. They're staying out that bit longer in the fuel. They know they had to really, with a bigger fuel load, to stay out there. And tactically, they must be very pleased, McLaren, to have got one over this time. He came in with a lead of just about 25 seconds. I have to say the boys from Woking were absolutely superb in the pit stop, like clockwork. Look at this, no Ferraris in sight. Well, I wondered for a minute, he was almost going to clip the Armco on the inside of the exit of the pit lane. Just out in front of Rubens Barrichello, and then soaked up all the pressure to claim his second win of the year. Super stuff from Coulthard and McLaren.
I don't think we've seen you in the position in Formula One that Rubens Barrichello was in. Let's hope we do down the years, because you've got a lot of time on your side, Alex, I know. But I just wonder if you can give us a driver's viewpoint of when you're there, you've got second place, and someone blows in your ear. It's a team sport. Stop and let your team guy by. Your teammate go by.
Well, I think when you saw Ruben's face, I don't need to say anything. Of course, it's I can say it now, it's very disappointing for you, because you worked the race very hard, and he just did it on the last 300, 400 meters to show the whole world that he was better than Michael today, but the team is completely focused on one guy, and that's Michael Schumacher, so he has to agree this, and I'm pretty sure he signed it in his contract knowing what he has to do.
That would be in black and white. He would have to do that, yeah?
Yes, I think so.
Ron Dennis said he'd never made that call.
No, I mean, I think Ron is very fair in that regard, and he won't, and he's shown it before. He's let David, when David's behind, he's let David go on and on until there is no more mathematical possibility in those years for him to win the championship. And then the team ask him to ride shotgun for the other, which he's done for Hakkinen in the past. And I'm sure Ron will ask Hakkinen to do the same thing when it comes up. But what Alex was saying before, what we've got to understand is that that team is totally built around Michael Schumacher at every level. His every whim, his every need, his every desire. The number two is just a number two. And as Irvine said, it takes Rubens a while to realise that. When it all sinks in, that's it. That's what you've got to play,
right.
second fiddle.
I think he said, didn't he, Eddie Irvine, at Grand Prix weekend as Michael Schumacher's teammate, it's like being hit over the head with a cricket bat for 3 days. You wouldn't know about a cricket bat, but they're pretty hard and heavy, I can tell you.
Stupid English sport. I don't understand.
It's all right. Okay. Listen, let's have a word with Kimi Räikkönen, Rookie of the Year, a brilliant 4th place in his Sauber. Here he is with Louise.
Well done, your 6th race in Formula One, and more points for you. It's going very well, isn't it?
Yeah, it was fun race. Only I did a big mess in the pit stop. I don't know really what happened. I thought that they lift the lollipop, and I don't know. But in the end, this doesn't make any difference.
So you were a bit disappointed then. Would you have liked more?
No, not really. I'm really happy. But of course, you always try to win, and if you don't win, you always have something to do still.
Other than that, was it a tough race for you, or did it come to you quite easily?
No, it was pretty easy. Like a physical side, it was not a problem at all, but only there was some moments in the race, but that's life. It was really nice race.
Alex, you were a young driver, and things happened very quickly for you in your career, and then it plateaued out, it evened out a bit. Do you think that he's got a lot to learn still, Kimi Räikkönen?
Well, I mean, he's done a fantastic race, fantastic season so far. But what you have to see, and what I learned as well, and I think when you ask Jenson Button, it's the same for him. You go into the first year, there's no pressure, everything is easy. You can, with a good car, you can make good races. but the things are going more difficult. They get much more involved in political problems, into all the better gossip and so on, and this harms sometimes your career. And I wish all the best to Kimi, that he's not getting into these troubles.
Let's ask you about yourself briefly. I mean, you're now learning the sport for real. Is that how you put your time at McLaren? You're really on a learning curve.
Well, you know, I was 3 years in Formula 1 with Benetton. I started very well, similar to Kimi, and then everything went a bit more difficult. And then I decided to go to McLaren, follow the footsteps of Olivier Panis, and I must really say I'm not regretting the decision at all. I'm really happy. I'm much closer to the actual heart and bit of Formula 1 I was looking for. I mean, at McLaren they really treat all the drivers the same. There's no number 1, number 2, or number 3 in my case. And I'm really happy down there, and of course my dream would be to race for them, and I'm working on this. But so far the best for me.
Okay, thanks Alex. Well, Alex talking about Jenson Button there. His race ended up in a bit of a barbecue. Here's Jenson, and it's with Louise again.
Jenson, it was barbecue time at Benetton today.
Yeah, it wasn't really the best day, was it? The race wasn't going too bad actually. We're on the pace of the Jaguars and also the Prix, so we're quite pleased with that. And running up to the pit stop, it was working quite well. And then afterwards, we had a few problems and couldn't really get on the pace again. Then after turn 4, I had a problem at the rear of the car, and that was the end of my race.
What was the problem? Do you know?
I don't know exactly. Obviously, they'll be finding out. The car isn't back yet, so. But no, it's pretty abrupt, and I'm not really sure what the problem was. But it's obviously something we've got to sort out pretty quickly.
Keep saying they're going to sort it out. When are they going to do it, Tony?
I don't know. It's not getting any better at the moment. They're all working absolutely flat out. And again, Alex knows how good the boys are. And they've still got spirit in that team, remarkably, because there's a lot of long-stager guys who've stayed around there. But Jenson keeps finishing behind Fisichella all the time in the qualifying sessions, running behind him in the race. And I don't know whether it's getting to him or not. It doesn't seem to be, but Alex knows what he's going through, and it's a tough time.
Now, Alex, you do a lot of other things, don't you? You know, mountain biking, and you've been climbing up in Everest or the Himalayas and with Sherpa Tenzing's son. What's that all about?
Well, we went to the Himalayas. You see some nice pictures here. Straight in front of us, it was Mount Everest. And with Sherpa Tenzing, I went a bit of climbing, and in very high altitude, 13,000 feet. And it was a really nice experience for me, because as I'm a climber, I love the mountains, and then in Nepal, it's just the place you want to be.
Terrific. Listen, we appreciate you coming and joining us today. You come back again,
Pleasure.
won't you? Thanks very much indeed, Alex. Okay. Now then, Ross Kemp has taken on a touch of real-life drama. He's building towards a role with the Jordan pit crew at the Silverstone Grand Prix, the British Grand Prix, in mid-July. Here in Austria, Ross Kemp has been learning the hard way behind the scenes. They have been working him hard too.
Heavy.
Right. This is going pointers. Top. Top. We'll go that way, yeah? This is how the other half live. Luxury. See, I'm not supposed to be doing this. I'm supposed to be working now, but in life I've learned if an opportunity presents itself.
You have a coffee, isn't it?
If I breathe into this, do I get arrested? What's the reasoning behind this then?
Right, what it is, between these two trucks here, because usually we haven't got enough room.
Right.
Yeah.
Depending on different tracks, you're fighting against space all the time.
When we've got all the tyres mounted, we need somewhere to put them. So what we do is we put a tent between these two trucks.
Got it.
So we need an exact distance to work from.
Oh, right, and this what does it?
Tells you. So we want them around about 4 metres.
It's a ruler.
Now, Russ, 4.03.
What do you need?
We're on around 4.
Not bad, is it? 3 centimetres out. What about up here, Piss? Get all this stuff around this lathe, or whatever it is.
Yeah, we can clean that off as well after.
After, yeah? Just do the fascias first.
Yeah.
everything from loading the truck to unloading the truck is meticulous, exact. Everything is kept surgically clean, and it's all rather impressive, really. And this is a thing that, you know, most people don't see when they come on race day. They don't know the amount of work, and to the point of obsessiveness, how tidy and how clean and how exact everything is placed in the garage or on the truck. Everything's lined up. It's a precision sport in every way. I'm loving it.
Touch of the elbow grease then for Ross. We're going to be following all the way to that grid at Silverstone in mid-July. Now, as promised, the result of our competition, combining the twin peaks of European football and Formula One. Remember the prize, it's an absolute cracker. VIP trips to two great sporting events, the Monaco Grand Prix, and before that, the UEFA Champions League final at Milan San Siro Stadium, Bayern Munich against Valencia. Now, two Scots have won at Monaco before, Stewart and Coulthard, but we asked you which Englishman last won in Monte Carlo. Was it A, Johnny Herbert, B, Nigel Mansell, or C, Graham Hill? And the answer, Graham Hill, way back in 1969. Our winners, Mark Charlton from St Helens and Nicola Cunnington from Brighton. Well done, Mark. Well done, Nicola. Enjoy two fabulous occasions with ITV. Keep in touch with all the F1 news on our ITV website tonight. There we are then. Watch out for the highlights tonight. We'll be back in Monte Carlo in a couple of weeks' time. Well done, David Coulthard. Bye-bye from us all.
Thanks, Alex. Ja. Aus erster Hand natürlich. Well, David, congratulations, starting from the 7th position. Did you believe at all that you can win the race today?
Yeah, well, I know Alex is sitting there in the studio, and he gave me some tips on this circuit and how to keep out of trouble. He obviously knows the track well, so we thought it was possible to you know, be strong and be on the podium. But it was quite clear the way things panned out early on in the race, and I believed that when the Ferrari passed me after the first corner that they were running lighter than we were. So I said on the radio at the end of lap 1, I think Ferrari's lighter, and I knew then we had a real chance to stay out longer and get the win.
How do you think would the situation have ended without Montoya's maneuver with Schumacher?
Yeah, it would have been a little closer, but I still think we would have ran longer, and I would have been close enough to have made it one of these coming out of the pit lane. So it would have been, you know, a much closer call, but nonetheless, racing is about trying to keep out of trouble as much as anything, and for me, it was inevitable that Montoya and Michael were going to come together.
This year, I think on points of strategy, you are in the perfect way. Why is that?
We're trying to do the best job possible, and at the moment things are, although it didn't go well in qualifying, things are coming together in the race in terms of results, and I finished every Grand Prix in the points, and this is a credit to everyone at McLaren Mercedes, and you know, everything's been very reliable, and that's what we need to really build a championship.
We've seen Ferrari at the end switching positions. Do you expect some team order right now?
I think it's way too early for anyone to be talking about this. I really don't personally think that Mika's out of the championship. He's still quick and he's still going to win Grand Prix. And there's a long way to go, so we'll be doing everything we can individually to win Grand Prix, and obviously the team will take a view later in the season.
Thank you very much, David Coulthard. Ja, also wir sehen, der sportliche Gedanke geht hier vor, wer am Ende recht hat.
Yeah. Mika, thanks for coming. Very bad weekend for you. Can you explain what happened?
Very bad weekend indeed. The car stalled definitely on the grid, and the team is going to investigate today and tomorrow what has happened, and obviously we cannot, and I cannot tell you too much at all. You all can see on your own eyes the car just stopped on the grid. So we have to investigate, and team will come to you back in answer sooner or later, to either today or tomorrow, to say I'm feeling myself, but not sure was it my mistake on the start, or was it problem with the technical side of the car. We don't know yet, so team will let you know.
It's so much unluck, Mika, because you had the problem in Brazil too, David in Barcelona, and now it's the third time. I think it's very unfair.
Indeed, it's really sad.
What do you think? Do you think could be an electronic problem? Do you think could be an electronic problem?
Simply, I cannot tell you too much because we just have to understand, you know, today and tomorrow the team will investigate exactly what has happened from the data, and to test all the switches in the car which is influencing for the start, and then we will understand what went wrong. But like I said, now it is impossible to say. I mean, I'm feeling extremely uncomfortable at the moment because I don't know, was it my mistake or was it some technical problem? We don't know yet, simply is that.
You feel your championship is finished here today? Pensi che il tuo campionato finisca qua?
Understand what has happened, and we don't know, was it my mistake or was it the technical failure in the car? It's very complicated to see that.
So many races into the championship now, so few points on the scoreboard. Is this the end of your championship hopes?
Well, it doesn't look too promising, does it?
Thanks, everybody.
Mika, one.
Ross, I think first of all we should talk about Juan Pablo Montoya.
Yeah, it was a pretty stupid move because he screwed his own race as well as screwing Michael's race. I mean, Michael was well past him. It wasn't a very sensible move, and really after that Michael was trying to just recover from Montoya's move.
How long did you discuss to switch positions with Rubens and Michael?
Well, you know, Rubens was obviously trying to catch Coulthard, so...
yeah, we can continue after congratulations.
Obviously, yeah, we were hoping Rubens might be able to have a go at Coulthard, but when it became clear he couldn't, then there's a championship at stake, so we have to do our best.
So you think Mika Häkkinen is now out of the focus?
I would think McLaren have got some tough decisions to make.
Thank you.
We knew we weren't going to be as quick as the Ferraris, but tried to hold Michael as good as we could, and you know, from then on when we both ran wide, start pushing, and the car at the end was much better. As the the fuel went down, your car was a lot quicker, and I passed Panis. I was right behind Raikkonen already, and we lost the hydraulic pressure and lost gears.
The situation with Michael, what happened to your brakes then? Had you long brakes?
No, the brakes were getting a bit long, but what happened, I looked the rear tires locked in the braking, and that was it.
More fun next time.
Thanks.
Okay.
What's happened?
Yeah, all the race. It's very, moves a lot in the quick corner. The front was positive, but it's the only place where it was too positive. Everywhere was good or a little bit of understeer. And 7.5, where you lean on it, and any statical input, it really deflects on the dial. So you gotta be very precise and not move the steering wheel. Because if you move the steering wheel, it real moves. It was quite quick. You saw sector two?
Yeah. One, a brilliant start, was it?
Yeah, it was pretty good. And after that, you know, got a bit of a fight with Michael, and we both...
What happened between the two of you?
My rear tires locked very early into the braking, and I knew I wasn't going to make it. So I tried to slow down the car as much as I could, and Michael was in the outside.
good start. Enjoy the start.
Yeah, the start was obviously great, but then I lost brake pressure after the second lap and the pedal started to get longer, so I had to pump it always before the corner. But then I knew what was going to happen because it got longer and longer, you know.
Yeah, so it was an inevitable retirement.
Yeah.
Disappointing. You never
No, I mean, we have seen today that, I think it would have been difficult for us to stay with the Bridgestone runners here in the race trim. But anyway, won't find it out yet. Auf dem laufenden Wege?
Ja, auf dem laufenden Wege. Schade, ne?
Pablo, you beat Ralph for the first time. It looks like things are going well, even though the car broke. How are you feeling about the season?
Oh, I think it's pretty good. You know, things are turning around. I think the race.
It was the perfect start, just from your point of view. It started perfect.
No, everything went quite well, and it was quite quick at the first few laps. Then we started grinding the tires, and we lost a lot of pace. And when that happened, you know, Michael passed Ralph, and he was a lot quicker than us, and I was just trying to defend him while the tire would come back, and that was it.
And there was a strange maneuver with Michael Schumacher. Could you describe it?
I went around the outside, I went for the inside, and when I started braking my rear tires, as soon as I started downshifting the car, the rear tires locked, and I tried to hold the car, but there's no chance.
At the end, what finished the race?
I think at the end, I think it was hydraulics, but you know, up to then it was looking quite good.
Thanks. Patrick, to start with the positive things, do you agree we have seen the best launch control in the field?
Certainly seemed to work pretty well, yeah.
But after this, have you solved the technical problems already?
No, we're involved in looking at them now. Yeah.
So what was it with Juan Pablo?
We had some form of hydraulic leak. I don't know from which system it is. And with Ralph, we had a problem with the rear brakes.
Then we had a maneuver between Juan Pablo and Michael Schumacher. How did you see that?
Michael was trying to go around him on the outside, and Juan Pablo, I think his car oversteered a bit, and so went wide. I mean, it was I think it comes under a racing incident sort of thing. I mean, it was a mistake from Juan Pablo, but obviously not deliberate, and both drivers were able to continue.
Coming now to Monaco, to a driver's track, so what can we expect from your drivers there?
The drivers today both did a fantastic job, as they did yesterday, and the real pressure is to try and make sure we do a better job as a team.
Thanks.
Congratulations, I think it was a fantastic race for you. How big is your luck?
Yeah, it was very good race, but of course we had some luck, but not really. This race was only I earned it because I raced against everybody, and we did a good job with the team.
Well, you look very cool.
Yeah, I'm cool. It was a nice race.
But now you have the same points as Mika, for you as a Finn.
Yeah, but in the end, this doesn't make any difference. We always try to get more, and I'm not race against Mika only. I'm raced against everyone.
But Mika told us before the start, the main thing is that you have to be behind him.
Yeah, but now I beat him. But I think something happened with him in the start.
What about your future? In Italian, everybody speaks about you and Ferrari. The next Ferrari driver, Peter Sauber, is afraid of that, and now Mika like to stay here. What's your opinion in the future?
I don't know. We will see. I have a contract with Sauber until 2003, I think so, and after that we can look some other options.
But of course, you have a dream.
Yeah, I have a dream, but it's too early for that.
It's blue or red dream?
I don't tell you.
Thank you.
First and most important question, how is Rubens at the moment?
Well, he's okay. He's okay, of course. You know, it's normal. He disappointed because he wanted to win the race, and then it just could not happen. But that's racing, and then, I mean, it's a team who has to decide what we feel is the interest, and we work for a team. We don't work for individual. And I feel today we did the right decision, even if I'm a bit disappointed because I thought we could have won the race.
Was it a very tough decision for you to call him back in the last lap?
Well, tough decision, you know. I mean, it's a decision. I think we have some time to take more cruel decisions or be in front of more difficult choices. Second and third, second. Honestly, I don't think it's a big change. We would have preferred to win the race, but otherwise, I mean, what is important is for Ferrari to score 10 points in the championship, and it will be a tough fight until the end. And I mean, that happened what had happened today. Bad start for different reasons, difficult overtaking, which put Michael in 6th position. So, you know, it was not our best day, but it was not too bad either.
Did you maybe underestimate the power of McLaren a little because they were so far back on the grid?
No, I mean, I think it's other people who did underestimate what they're able, but we respect them, and they did a very strong race, and good result, good win.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jean-Todt.
Talking about Rubens, you said it's a normal decision, but can you explain it? Because of course Michael told us afterwards, yes, you can say yes or no for that decision. It's a hard decision. Do you feel like a lonely man in such a moment?
Not really, you know, it's a team decision, so we are together for the best, for the worst. Today it was not neither the best, neither the worst. It was just, I will say, a difficult race, that's all.
You said let him pass through the championship. It's quite the 6th race, and 11 are coming more and more. So it's very early in the situation. How does it for Rubens, for his motivation?
We will see at the end of the year. You know, sometime, if you remember, Irvine lost for just a position, not a point, in 99. So it can be very little. That's all.
And what does it mean for Rubens' future at Ferrari? Because there are a lot of rumors about his future for Ferrari in 2002. Can you say something about that?
It means that Rubens is a good choice. He has been doing a very good race, and he's supported by Ferrari. He does a very good job since he is with us. That's always what we have been saying. So we can control what we say. We cannot control what is said outside.
Thank you.
How do you...
Welcome back to Austria's A1 ring. David Coulthard has scored in every race so far. A brilliant 10 out of 10 for him here today, but a victory tinged with sadness.
And the whole team is mourning the loss of Paul Morgan, who's a very important part of the whole setup. He started Ilmore along with Mario Ilian, so that's obviously you know, tragic weekend in that respect. And I think this is a perfect end in terms of what we could have done here at the track. And life goes on, and we're going to continue our battle for the championship. And it's obviously from purely racing terms, we're very happy to have won this Grand Prix.
Tell us about the end of the race, Michael. We all understand the logic of your teammate pulling over, but how do you personally feel when that happens?
I mean, personally, I like to overtake him and prove that that I'm faster, but our speeds are so similar, and Rubens did a very good race, so I was able to, I don't know, I had 3 or 4 seconds of a gap, and I was able to drive within 1 second, and that's it. You're stuck there because aerodynamics get influenced, and you can't go any further. And the team had told me that if I get close to him, then they will tell him to move over, which, considering what has happened today, hacking and stopping, I think McLaren quite wisely will now look for Coulthard for the championship, and we have to look as well what is our interest, and Ferrari has taken a decision.
I have to talk to the team, understand a little bit. Of course, I'm upset right now because, as I said, I'm not like other people that thinks, okay, Michael's a great driver and that's all. I have my qualities as well, and I think I'm doing a great job to be a number 2 to Michael. That's all. I have just to understand the situation. I wasn't hoping for that before the race, but that's the way it went.
You say you have to talk to the team. Do you feel that you shouldn't have been asked to pull over? Is that what you mean?
Well, it's well, let me talk to them.
I tried to keep out of trouble, which I was able to do, not make mistakes when the car was difficult to drive initially, and the pace came through, and this is a great strategy win for the team, and obviously I'm delighted for everyone who works directly with me and their part in that.
And so David Coulthard, Mr. Consistency 2001, nibbling away at Michael Schumacher's World Championship advantage. A visibly upset Barrichello is third, Raikkonen's best ever fourth, Panis putting British-American racing in the points again, and Verstappen scoring the Orange Arrow's first point since Monza last September. Coulthard now just 4 points behind the world champion. Barrichello's 4 keep him third. Then Ralf Schumacher, no change for Heidfeld or Trulli. Meantime, in the constructors, as you were, still that 18-point gap between the big two. No points for Williams and Jordan. Sauber with Raikkonen and BAR with Panis improving their totals. OK, then, Tony Jardine, how about that start? You can't have seen anything like that before.
I know this is a short circuit, but it's ridiculous. It all happened at the first corner last year. This time it was on the grid. Look at this, a record 4 cars stall on the grid. And the Williams BMWs jumped the Ferrari of Michael Schumacher, but miraculously they all get round those blocks. Look at them, like huge slabs sitting on the grid. Both the Jordans. And then Nick Heidfeld there in front of Mika Hakkinen and then McLaren. Just look at this one now as Irvine and Villeneuve nearly clash. Villeneuve having to get out of the way. And Irvine goes from 13th place up to something about 6th on the first lap. Look at this. Michael Schumacher said they had to revert to the standard start, couldn't use launch control, and his little brother jinked round him so beautifully. Juan Pablo Montoya up the inside and into the lead. What a breathtaking start there.
A lot of thinking for those engineers over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, a tremendous amount. It's all about reliability. I mean, these electronics, the cars are just packed with them now. They're little rocket ships, and all these little microbes and chips, they've all got to be coordinated.
Fantastic battle between Juan Pablo Montoya, the newcomer, and the old gun Michael Schumacher. What did you make of it?
Well, I think Juan Pablo was defending his line very well. It was a bit like some 81 and Gilles Villeneuve in the more powerful car, but not handling so well, holding them up, but quite legitimately. Now look at it from this angle. Schumacher has to go around the outside. Bit of respect there from Schumacher after Brazil. After all, this is the man, the Colombian, that dived inside him and took the lead away from the Brazilian Grand Prix. I bet I hadn't get too close to him, give him a little bit of room. But, of course, Juan Pablo, he's a racer. He didn't want to give way. Now look at it again. He comes off the brakes just at the last moment, saying, I'm not going to let you through. Quite harmless at the end of the day, but Michael is going to go and see him, and that's going to be interesting.
It all came down to McLaren's pit stop. Could they get David Coulthard in and out quickly enough to win the race?
But they'd fueled up to the maximum that they were going to and stayed out that little bit longer, and David really did get the hammer down and set some fastest laps, which gave him that time. He came in with 25 seconds gap. The McLaren mechanics did a brilliant job and a great strategy from Pat Fry, from Steve Hallam, and you still can't see the Scarlet Ferraris now as David Coulthard comes back. There, you just see Rubens Barrichello coming into view. That must have been a great moment in the McLaren pit when they knew he's kept the lead.
He did a superb job, didn't he, David Coulthard, with those two Ferraris hunting him down and the tyres not working particularly well either.
He did a superb job of soaking up the pressure. This is David Coulthard at his best, who's scored points in every race so far this year. Nursing the car, getting the best out of it. The car was hopeless in qualifying. They lost the balance totally. They got it back today, though.
We think here that he could well be the world champion this year, don't we?
Well, we don't want to do a Murray, do we? And say he's going to do it, put the curse on him, but he's just got to keep going along like that. I'm sure psychologically it's building beautifully, and coming up to Monte Carlo, where he won last year, it's going to be a superb battle now with just 4 points in it.
End of Häkkönen's world title hopes, remote hopes here, do you think?
Well, his manager, Keke Rosberg, the 1982 world champion, said, forget it, son, it's all over. It's surely all over now. But until it is mathematically impossible, he will be allowed to race on.
It really is strange, isn't it, that Michael Schumacher just cannot win at the A1 ring?
It's a bogey circuit, it's a jinx circuit. He let something out of the bag on Friday, so it's so difficult for me to get the balance of the car and get the setup right just here. And he always overdoes it. Again, he was running wide, wasn't he? He went into the gravel a couple of times during the race.
When you're his teammate and there are 100 metres or so to go and you're ahead of him, you have to yield.
When you're his teammate, you understand that everything is built around Michael Schumacher. The voice comes through on the radio, the voice that you dread of Ross Brawn, move over please, sunshine. Michael needs those 6 points. And, you know, Rubens has fought very hard. He gets third place. He got third last year from 11th after Michael went off. All that hard work, and he just has to give it away. Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah, it's a heartbreaker for him. Tony Jardi, thank you very much indeed. OK, next stop for us is Monaco. Qualifying live on the Saturday at 11:30. Build up to the race starting 12:35 on the Sunday night. Just have a look at that. The highlights are on ITV2 on the Sunday night at 10:30. ITV2 10:30 on the Sunday night. As always here on ITV just after midnight. Right then, we head for Monaco, home for David Coulthard. A repeat of his win there last year will do just fine. Good night.
If you'd like to know more about Formula One, the website address sponsored by Foster's is www.itv-f1.com.
Well done.
Dit punt heeft het team absoluut verdiend. Half of the Grand Prix you were on lead.
Yeah, and it was one of the best Grand Prix because I was really fighting for it. I was really happy when I was there. I had a choice of having used fronts and new rears. Until 35, 36 laps, the tires were doing a fantastic job. But then I started to drop back a little bit you know, if you think of Coulthard and Michael. And I had a bit of a nervous car and quite a bit of understeer at that time. I was losing time, and it wasn't enough to keep in front of Coulthard because he did 4 laps on quick times. Even though I've left the pits with new tires, that I really I couldn't do nothing to stay in front of him. That was a pit. That was a shame. When I saw him going front, I just thought that was a shame.
On the grid, we talked about you on the podium and Jos in the points. You saw what happened?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the podium and he's on the points. It's good for Dutch people.
Michael, congratulations. Can you talk us through your race?
Well, pretty eventful. Start, we had some problems with our launch control system, which meant that I lost 2 positions, which I think was the deciding factor for the race, because if I would have won the race, would have won the start, I would have easily won the race to my view. But that's the way it went. Then I had the fight with Montoya, which we both ran wide. I need to analyze the video and judge that properly. Which then meant that I had to go through the field, which was quite demanding for tyres, for fuel consumption and everything. And that meant that we had to come in earlier for the pit stop.
David, many congratulations, although a tragedy.
Yeah, you know, it's a tragic weekend for the team as we lost Paul Morgan, a very important part of the Ilmore setup, and that's a terrible thing. But we have our jobs to do, and we're continuing to take the fight to Ferrari, and obviously we're all delighted to have taken 10 points here today.
You can say it was a solid race. Can you talk us through a little bit?
Yeah, no, it was a very solid race, good strategy. The car was reliable again. Team did a great job in the pit stop. There's nothing more to say other than that. You know, we had the right strategy and we made it work.
Goed.
Panis 7e de La Rosa, gevolgd door Bernoldi en Verstappen. Alesi was 10e, 11e Genet en 12e Lotterer. André Lotterer die debuteerde bij het team van Jaguar. Met een tijd van 1:15.7 hoeft hij zich zeker niet te schamen. Bij het team van Verstappen werkt men hard aan een nieuwe voorvleugel, die ervoor moet gaan zorgen dat ze 7/10 tot een seconde per rondje kunnen gaan winnen. De hoop bij Verstappen en consorten is dat die vleugel er al is.
Rubens, it's last lap. Let Michael pass for the championship. Let Michael pass for the championship, Rubens, please. Hai fatto una gara fantastica, Rubens. Grazie. Hai fatto il gioco della squadra. Rubens.
Va bene, io non dico niente.